You are now entering a dangerous liberty zone where God-given natural rights are held sacred and exercised. This is your warning. Tyranny, fascism, and censorship will not be tolerated. Ideas will be exchanged freely. Rigorous debate and open discourse is encouraged. If you are weak and your beliefs are fragile, you should leave now. Prepare yourself. We are now live on the Dangerous Liberty Podcast. What is happening, everybody? Happy Wednesday to everybody out there. Welcome to the Dangerous Liberty Podcast, episode 36, Wednesday, July 12th. I want to welcome everybody that is here now. We're going to go through and have some good salutations, everybody. But I want to welcome everybody that joins us in the future.
I have a question.
And make sure that you join us live on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Yes,
so
ma'am.
early.
What's your question?
So you said episode 36. Is it 36 of Dangerous Liberty or
It is.
of all of our lives?
No. I actually meant to go through and check that, but I think we're, probably in the 70s or 80s at least.
Cool.
Yep. If you go back to our original Free for All Friday, if we included those. So again, I want to make sure that we welcome everybody. And again, if you're tuning in at a much later date, make sure you join us live. It'll be a lot better experience for you. Although I think watching us, because sometimes I just kind of go back and watch us.
Gary just likes watching himself, really.
Just to see how stupid I sound.
Yeah, I'm sure.
You don't want to do that. You'll never talk on here again.
All I do is critique. I'm like, oh my God. No wonder everybody.
That's exactly why I don't watch it, because I want to hear how stupid I sound.
No, but you got to do that so you can see what you're doing right, do what you're doing wrong, and all the good stuff. But again, make sure that you're joining us live. It's a much better experience. Make sure you subscribe, like, share. Make sure you guys are commenting down below and all the good stuff. And definitely, especially when we're posting this, I always post this ahead of time. You guys share that stuff and start inviting your friends.
I did.
I know you do. I know you do.
It looks like a couple of them showed up.
Absolutely.
I know. I saw TC from Dub V. I saw
so let's go through there. Jeff Hahn, I heard you talk to Summer today. She got you squared away, hopefully. Jason Sponsor. Let's see.
Josh Zartman.
Hey, Josh, I appreciate that email. I think it was a coincidence. I guess, that topic is kind of at the forefront of things right now. But I do appreciate the email. We'll talk more about that and some things that we can get together and collaborate on, or again, some efforts we can make in that direction. I think it's really important. Jason sponsored John Esmond, TC from Dub V. We got Kyle up there.
Yeah. Oh, Kyle, me and Kyle were getting swole at the gym earlier today.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
I guess it didn't take.
I was going to say.
Guess it doesn't last very long.
That's what it is.
I haven't worked out in like 2 months.
You got to get that diet to go with it.
Who's that? Mike Penn.
Right.
Good to see you, buddy.
We got North Carolina, Keith Stewart.
Tonto. Keith Stewart, North Carolina.
What's the Tonto? I can't see it.
Just Tonto.
I like it.
Tonto.
Just Tonto.
All right.
He's been on here before. Good to see you. Good to have you back, Tonto. Willie, always good to see you. I see you're double dipping over there on Rumble as well. Any of our Lost Boys at Rumble that we can't. Otter's over there, and it's a little bit delayed on here. But anyways,
I got Facebook.
Our Lost Boys over at Rumble, and folks, we need to continue to push people over to Rumble. But I digress, because I've mentioned that a lot in the past. But we got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. Summer, how was your week?
Same as usual.
Yeah.
I mean, this week.
Felt like this week hit a little different.
So
We don't want to talk about last week.
Yeah.
Well, it's got to be. It's better than this week. I mean, this week's better than last week. Right?
Knock on wood. You better find some wood and knock on over there,
I
Jason.
guess technically it was all last week. Yep.
Yeah.
We had an interesting last week, to say the least. Chris?
My week's going about like your all's last week was. Not
Really?
as bad, not as
Jeez.
bad,
You
but
didn't share.
it's still going great.
Okay. Well, we didn't mean to pass along the bad luck.
No, but absolutely you didn't pass along. I got a heavy mix of Turkey 101 and Mountain Dew Zero in my cup. And you know what? We just go cruise through the evening.
I got single barrel.
Did you want to share with the viewers at all about last week?
Oh my, it might take up 33 minutes.
Makes me sound like a idiot.
No, it doesn't.
No.
I'm usually a very competent person, but
So first of all, again, you guys.
let's start from Saturday night after the grand opening.
That's where you start.
You guys are family. We'll let you kind of know what's going on, and we like to let you guys know what's kind of going on behind the scenes. So Saturday night after the grand opening, we did that. Huge success. Everything was great.
We were looking forward to some much needed rest.
Looking forward to some rest. We went and actually watched fireworks with Chris
Well,
and his
you
family.
skipped a part already.
What's
What?
that?
You were coming home Saturday night, and you got home.
Oh, well, okay.
Oh, yeah.
So we came home after the grand opening. Our power was out, and that kind of plays in the story a little bit later.
Yeah.
Power was out. We decided that since power was out, we were going to go watch fireworks. Chris called us up and was like, hey, we're up here. I was like, all right, yeah, let's go do that. Since power was out and we got nothing better to do.
Gary and I were dead tired, but the boys were like, fireworks. So we're
Yeah.
like,
Oh,
you know.
We'd been, again, pushing 18-hour days for 3.5 weeks or so. Had a lot going on. I was also
27-hour
sick
days.
earlier
There
that
you go.
week. Long story short, we came home from fireworks. Our power was still out. We were in bed.
Got to bed about midnight.
Got to bed about midnight.
Yeah.
I was laying there trying to, it usually takes me a while to ease into
Whereas me, I'm like,
bedtime. Summer's over there snoring.
I was not snoring.
Anyways, all of a sudden, I felt my heart racing, right? So, which I've never had before. I usually have a pretty low resting heart rate. I looked down at my watch. I was pushing like 130 on a pulse, which is crazy. And then, I also felt like this kind of weird fluttering thing going on. I knew something wasn't right. I actually have an ECG on this Apple Watch Ultra, which I have maybe used once or twice just as a kind of a gimmick thing. But I wasn't feeling right anyway, so I just so happened right about a minute into that, the power came back on. And of course, our lights in the kitchen and stuff, which shine right into our bedroom door, were on. So I got up and when I did, I almost passed out. I basically hit the bed. If I hadn't hit the bed, I'd have hit my face on the ground there. I did an ECG on my watch, and it was like atrial fibrillation. My pulse was like 138 resting. And so I woke up somewhere like, hey, I'm going to drive myself up to the I'm going to drive myself up to the hospital.
I was like, what's going on? And he's like, I think I'm an AFib. Something's going on.
I think I'm an ape.
I don't
I was like, you're not driving yourself anywhere.
So,
I'm driving you.
Long story short, basically, I was an AFib. And then, so they kept me over, of course, nothing's
Admitted you to
happening
the hospital.
on a Saturday night. They admitted me to the hospital. Nothing's happening on Sunday. By 4 p.m. Sunday, I could feel my pulse ready to come down to about 90, which was still extremely high for me. But pretty much rocking 90 all while I was sleeping, all throughout the day. Then all of a sudden, like 4 p.m. or so, I just felt everything go back to normal. And then, I did another test on my watch. I was out of AFib, and I had been testing it, and it was, I had like 15 readings that, said I was still in AFib. Never had any heart issues. Never have had that before. It pretty much, I've had a little bit higher of a pulse since then. I did a stress test today. The doctor was a different cardiologist that was running the test. He was like, what did they send you here for? Because they couldn't get me as fast as that treadmill could go and as fast as as steep as they could get it.
Couldn't get your heart rate
They
high
couldn't
enough.
get the highest my heart rate got was 128, and it was everything was fine. So hopefully it was just a combination of being sick. I was sick for 2 days prior to that. We were overworked,
Exhausted.
underrested. So anyways, it is what it is.
So, he's in the hospital. We went to the hospital late Saturday night. I got up Sunday. We went and spent the day with him at the hospital Sunday.
Yep.
We had come home from the grand opening, parked the truck and trailer. Like, the tents were in it from the rain, still wet. Everything was wet. I had to pull it all out. So I'm unloading the trailer, pull it all out, get everything spread out to dry, cleaning up, unhook the trailer, go to park the truck, and it's like, oh, the DEF's low. Okay, cool. We got things of DEF sitting right there. I'll just dump one
Diesel
in.
exhaust fluid for you.
Yeah.
Gasoline.
So
losers.
I've put in DEF in the truck a million other times. Probably 90% of the time I've put the DEF in there.
She
I mean,
does.
I'm not trying to take anything away
No,
from
no,
you, but
no.
I just,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
just,
not now. Not
just
on
one
live.
of those things. I see it slow. I put it in there. Well, I put it in there. I put it in the diesel tank. So
Put it in the yellow cap.
So then I had to call Gary laying in the hospital bed.
She's all crying. I think somebody's died or something.
And I'm like, I just ruined it. I just
She's like,
messed up
I
really
effed up. I'm
bad."
like, well, nothing could be that bad. And she was like, I was like, ooh, that is pretty bad.
Yeah, anyway, so that was the next thing that happened. So yeah,
So
truck's
that's like eight grand just to figure out.
So
just
trucks-
to hopefully,
not blow the engine.
yeah, just to replace all the fuel lines in there.
So pray for us.
And then we had a CQB course
This past weekend.
past weekend.
Yep. So you got through that week.
So I got, well, yeah,
I
I
happen.
agonized for a week over the truck, right?
Right.
So we Saturday we're running the CQB course. Gary's out there running the CQB course. Of course, Noah has a wrestling camp. I have to leave the range, bring Noah to wrestling camp. I'm heading back to the range, and I wrecked my car. And I just
Totaled her
happened to have a trunk full of some guns. It looks like I'm hauling around like 20 ARs in the back of my vehicle, and I'm on
Oh,
parked on
man.
the side of the
You got a
road.
narco truck.
Jason,
Pardon me,
Jason,
ma'am.
Yeah.
Do not worry, Jason. Whatever it happens, if I have to go full Dick Cheney with a fake heart, at least to get me through September, I will live to make sure that I'm around.
So I got the
Until
call
September.
today from the adjuster, and my car's totaled, which my car was paid for. I loved it. It's been it's Dodge Durango,
That
10
Dodge
years
Durango-
old, has over 200,000 miles
You
on
wouldn't
it.
have been
and
able to tell that.
No.
it rode and drove like brand new. Love that car. So now, now neither one of us have our vehicles.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Neither one of us have our vehicles.
So, anyway, we got rid of all the bad juju for
Yeah.
2023
It's done.
in one go. Don't worry, John. I'll stay alive until then. I promise you. I'll be there to spot for you, train you.
We'll
Square you away.
bring Gary up like Weekend at Bernie
My-
style and prop him up.
My head might be in a jar like Futurama or something like that, but we'll get it all done. So, anyways, interesting week to say the least.
You guys pray for us.
With the caveat of, you know what, at the end of the day, everything's fine. Like, it's just a truck.
Yeah.
It's just a vehicle.
just
Everything's
your heart.
covered.
Yeah, it's just hard.
No one
Just
got
a heart.
no one got hurt in the wreck.
No one got hurt. Summer wasn't able to finish me
Feelings
off.
were hurt, but
Lots of feelings were hurt.
So,
feel,
Anyways.
feelings heal.
yeah. On a lighter note, one of the things that I got into this week, not too long ago, one of my laptops, or my main laptop, I plugged it into an outlet at the range, and all of a sudden it didn't work anymore. So that was fried.
Didn't work.
Didn't work.
Hey,
It was
I wonder
fried.
I wonder if
No,
something
it's probably-
surged from the outlet.
It's
Oh, it
probably
almost definitely
It's
was.
probably the viruses.
Almost definitely.
It
was.
probably had corona for
Thanks,
sure.
range.
So they they actually, we took it to a repair place, and
the
they were
motherboard
like,
had a big burn spot. In
yeah,
the
they're
middle.
like, this
Oh,
thing
yeah.
is burnt out.
Toast.
Like, this guy is
They pulled the hard
spreading
drive
too
in.
much
They
misinformation.
did.
Yank the hard drive.
We got to take care of that
Too
guy.
much. Yeah, no doubt. She opened it
So
up. There was like
after-
a red flag inside. I'm like, oh shit. I've
After
never
a
seen this before, sir.
a lot of deliberation, I decided to try my hand at a because I need something that I can.
I still can't believe you went the evil route.
Well,
It's the best
I need
route.
something
No.
that I can actually do video editing.
Yeah,
and stuff on
I
the
get
go.
that, but I'm sorry you went
Well,
the evil route.
when you start specking out a
PC?
laptop that can actually
To
handle
handle it.
4K,
oh yeah.
and again, a year from now, everything's gonna be 6K and 8K. That's just how the things go. So you got to future proof a little bit. So I ended up, you were looking at like almost $6,000 for a good
Badass
laptop
yeah.
that could actually handle what I needed to do. So I ended up going the Apple route. So we got a Apple, and I'm a little hesitant to jump into that. But between Dan and Dan Alonso, good to see you, buddy. I've been talking to Dan. Dan squared us away on the ones we need. I ended up getting Summer. Hers. She also had her laptop break
In the
wreck.
car.
In
Yeah.
the wreck. So she got obviously a little downgraded one, but Dan got me a good deal on that. And anyways, we're gonna try Apple, see how that works.
Because
gonna work out great.
always
It's part of a
working
cult.
on the run. Like I have to have a laptop.
Yeah.
I mean, lucky
Turbo,
for you.
Turbo Potato over on Rumble wants to know if we're gonna. I know it's a great name.
Turbo potato.
Wants to know if we're gonna talk about how people that work out are right wing extremists.
I mean,
Yeah,
Well, I
I've
haven't
seen
worked
that.
out in
I've
months.
seen you tweet about that.
2 months. So.
You're basically a Democrat.
That
now.
is a real thing.
Yeah.
So if you work out at all, you are a racist.
I saw,
Really?
I saw Daddy Elon talking about it. Too.
What? Is that? Are you guys being serious?
Oh
No,
yeah, it was on
serious, yeah,
Twitter.
yeah, it was
Like
on- it was on
Democrats
the-
put something up in
I just-
CNN or something. I forget. What
Joe
it was.
Rogan had posted about it on a different. It was a
So
different
if
one.
you
and
care
then-
about your health, you're an extremist,
Yeah.
right wing
It was
extremist.
about
Yeah.
wasn't it about like working out at home or something like that?
It's basically they're saying like, hey, what they try to do is get you to come to the gym, right? And then they try to get you to like MMA, right? And then like try to like basically it's like brainwashing you is essentially where they
I
were
mean,
going
Jay,
with
that's
it.
why I'm not working out with you.
Obviously.
I mean, I'm not driving in there to get brainwashed.
Yeah.
TC from WV, we might still need to talk about that laptop situation.
Oh yeah, TC would be
Yeah,
the one to
he's
talk to.
he is the one to talk to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what he does every day.
Well,
so the hard drive was literally burnt.
no, on mine. There was damage in the rack.
Oh, yeah,
no
yeah, yeah.
comment.
Because
Yeah.
mine just needs the
Kyle getting
LCD
brainwashed.
screen replacement. That's
Yeah.
it. So
And part of and we could get her screen replaced. Number one, we could always use a backup laptop. But number two, the other thing I was thinking of is we use Apple phones, Apple Watches. You might as well get the whole ecosystem going. There are some big benefits to that. Like it is nice that your phone will automatically just send all your photos and stuff to.
Cloud, and you can link it all up.
Yeah, it's.
And well, Apple did just tell you you're an AFib, right? So like, great product, eh?
Well,
the doctor actually in the ER actually said,
Jesus.
"Oh, tell your software people that they were right."
Yeah.
Well, so first of all, I will tell you, I would have never even went to the hospital had I not had that because I'd have just
Exactly.
been like, And then secondly, I got there and there was this like big fat overweight male nurse, and he was like, so what's going on? He was the guy that took me in, and I was like, well, I had this, my heart rate was 130, didn't feel right, felt weird. I could tell something was wrong. I did this thing on my watch. He's, oh, your watch. Oh, these people come in here. All these people come in here and tell me, oh, my watch is telling me I'm having a heart attack.
And then he's like, "Yeah, my $30 Casio doesn't do that."
Yeah.
Don't you knock a Casio?
I'm not.
Well,
Casio makes some really nice ones, but
that guy doesn't want to track his heart rate or anything else.
no.
Related. I'd say.
It's gonna be why is it so slow?
He was
That
like,
Apple Watch will just blow up. Nope.
he was like 400 pounds and wallowed around.
Oh, I can't say much. I'll just
Not
shut up.
today.
No, he's
you're not 400 pounds.
That
Chris.
guy was literally like
I'm getting
400
close.
pounds.
You're not. Whatever.
So, anyways, more importantly, we got some cool topics to discuss tonight. Yeah, and I'm actually absolutely fine, Jeff. So I appreciate that.
Me, not so much.
Well,
my
I mean, his heart is. He's still mentally.
his heart's fine.
Right.
Yeah,
My
mentally
heart's
he's still
fine.
He's
crazy.
bearable.
It's nothing.
My brain and emotions are all broken, but we'll fix it.
I have an emotion left, and it's fine too. That one. One thing I've been wanting to talk about. I constantly, this has kind of been in the news, and it definitely plays into some of the things that we're going to talk about tonight too. I think there's a direct link or even an indirect link with number 2 topic, which is child trafficking. But one thing I do want to talk about is toxic masculinity, and really get our heads wrapped around what that actually means and what that means. What's the ultimate goal with this idea of demonizing masculinity in general and demonizing men, which has been going on a long time? I have my own thoughts on that, but I definitely want to hear what you guys have to say about it. So what's your thoughts on that, Chris? Some toxic masculinity.
I mean, you got this. What's his face?
Andrew Tate?
Yeah. I mean, and
So-
I think he has good points, but
Sure.
I think he comes off in kind of how can I say it, an asshole manner about it.
Sure.
You know what I mean? He does.
Well,
I think,
well, look,
I think,
I
he, has
think
more,
he is an asshole and a jerk.
but,
I'll
but I
just put
think
it out
I
there.
think he has more good points than bad on
do too.
how men should act in these days. Now, should you go follow his steps, his ABCs 100%? No. Probably 70%.
Well-
but the dudes these days, my God.
I'll let you guys finish.
What are we doing here?
Well, so
You know what I mean?
So a couple things on that. Number one, I kind of my sub notes. I think
We're just leaving it down there this time.
This toxic masculinity, or this war on men in general, kind of led to the creation of Jordan Peterson, Andrew Tate, Steven Crowder, even some degree like Ben Shapiro. Which now we start getting into where is the line blurred from someone that is
Correct.
defending masculinity and really a conservative, talking head. And I think some of that has to do with that. Ultimately, I think there's definitely a longer goal because Andrew Tate, the first time I heard of him was like maybe a year or two ago.
Same, yeah.
And I will say this: the reality is I agree with you. I think from a philosophical standpoint, there's definitely some key things that I think we agree on 90, probably 8% of what he says. Now, the problem with Andrew Tate is he says things in a manner, I think, intentionally to get clicks, right?
Correct.
And to get, he's trying to antagonize a lot of folks out there, and he does a great job doing it to the point to where, I don't know what his legal situation is, but I also don't put it. I don't put it past, the powers that be to really target someone like that in a way that is not necessarily just. But you know, if he is in any way guilty of any sort of sex trafficking or all these other things that he's being accused of, you know, he can rot in prison. I don't care, but that doesn't take away, or that doesn't make his other valid points completely invalid, or his valid points invalid.
The one that turned me off, and I'll let you go, Summer, was I was watching, it was either TikTok or YouTube or something, but he said, you know, just say you're out there, okay, let me start at the beginning. I want my wife to make me a sandwich. So I tell her, hey, make me a sandwich in there. She says, no, I don't want to, because you can make it just yourself. And he goes, but you expect me, if we're at the movies and somebody starts shooting, you expect me to jump in front of you and take the bullet. I'm like,
That's a terrible analogy.
I'm like, I was like, this is horrible.
It's not
the way he puts that.
not a real parallel there.
And that's where I'm like, well, I'm gonna listen to this dude about 70% of the time.
Yeah.
Just like that was
What were you gonna say? Something?
Well,
that's what I want to.
I totally agree that masculinity should not be under attack the way it is. I love Jordan Peterson, love Ben Shapiro. Now, Andrew Tate, the things that I've heard from him, the things that we've listened to together, the vibe I get from him is that he's saying one thing in front of people, and he's the type of person to be doing something else behind the scenes, which might be why there's all these, and they might be trumped up charges, but all the trafficking, but he looks like that jerk and that asshole that would do that
very
thing.
well. I almost get the almost the opposite impression.
And I think he says things, but he doesn't walk. He talks the talk, but doesn't walk the walk.
See, I think he has a little sugar in the tank, but that's just me.
I don't know about that, but I actually think that he's probably more mild mannered in person, and I don't think
so.
I don't think that and who cares? I'm not going to sit here and defend Andrew Tate.
I mean, I know
But,
he's
but going back to just the general topic of toxic masculinity, you know, it's something we've even talked with our boys about. Like, don't let anybody tell you just because you're a boy that you're bad, or you shouldn't act this way, or you shouldn't. You like, masculinity is great. Like, you should be doing these things, and you know.
I don't think Andrew Tate's
what's-
ever been in a bar fight. Let's just say that. He doesn't take me as a person that got punched in the face out of nowhere and had to fight himself off. In the ring, of course, he's trained fighter or whatever and all that.
I mean,
I don't think he's been in a
watched bunch of his
conflict
fights.
outside of a controlled environment.
I
don't
watched
care
a bunch
about
of his
that.
fights.
No,
I mean, the
that's
guy's
a
a
huge
legit
thing.
fighter.
But that's a huge thing
And-
to me.
Well,
Whether or not you can survive a bar fight.
Conflict in the real world. I don't think
How
he's
he
ever
handles conflict
I don't
in the
think
real
he's
world.
ever had conflict in the real world.
I don't know if he has
I don't think he has.
or not.
The way
but,
he
but
carries
when you're
himself.
talking about an elite fighter that has been
I wouldn't say elite.
bro, then you haven't watched his fight.
I have seen his fights, but I'm just saying I wouldn't say it's elite.
He is an elite fighter by every stretch of the means.
Okay.
He is a genuine elite kickboxer. There's not even anything about it. And when you talk about guys that spend their life fighting and actually in the ring compared to the average Joe, like the toughest among anyone that is considered a tough guy in the bar is like 1/20th of a
I'll
real
give you that.
fighter.
Okay.
Like
For
so
sure.
so like to think I think it's naive to think that Andrew Tate wouldn't F most people up.
Yeah,
in the
I get
bar.
you. Okay.
And I don't know. I'll tell you, a lot of fighters that have spent their life fighting, number one, those guys know that if they hit somebody, kick somebody,
Yeah, they can kill 'em.
They can kill them.
Yeah.
And will end their career even if they don't, because they're going to get sued.
Oh yeah.
And it's going to end their. So
I don't know. I just don't think he's.
I did not
and I
mean
think
to
that
spend any
squares a lot
time
of
on
people
Andrew
away.
Tate on this.
I think it
conversation.
squares people away though. In
Well,
life.
I drive an electric car, so I feel like I'm balancing the
Jesus
situation
Christ,
pretty
here we
well.
go.
Jesus Christ! Yeah.
Jeff Hahn makes a
You get
great point.
100 miles per gallon of estrogen in that thing.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, I'm balancing
Yeah.
life. Not so toxic, just a little toxic.
If you demonize masculinity, you turn population against those that stand up. Absolutely. It's so, again, just from your guys' perspective, what do you think is, because this has been going on for 20 plus years, if not much longer, going back to really probably even like the 60s and 70s to some degree, but it's obviously gotten more and more.
I'm misinformed on this mofo. I'm gonna look.
So
it up real
what do
quick.
you guys think ultimately is the end goal with that entire
I think
campaign?
there's several.
I agree. I think that's definitely one of those things that
Kind of all pointing
Ticks.
toward the same thing, though.
ticks a lot of boxes.
Yeah, because I think you demonize men, you help destroy the family,
100%.
which creates chaos, and it goes toward more government reliance because now you've got single moms trying to take care of kids, or single dads trying to take care of kids.
Yep.
Tear apart the family, more government reliance.
Wait till we take over women's sports.
Well,
they already have.
well,
Are we going there?
The other thing is
and we win all the women's pageants.
toxic masculinity tells society that any type of aggression is bad. Aggression is good. Natural aggression is there for a reason.
Or men in general are bad.
Yeah. Well, but you have everyone that's non-aggressive. Well, guess what? They're not going to be successful business owners. There's not going to be successful people. And then that all goes back to government reliance as well. And I'm not being the most eloquent in the way I'm wording this, but I think you guys are getting the point. I mean, I think there's several different things that this accomplishes, but it all points toward government control.
It really does. It destroys. The intent there is to destroy the family. The intent there is to demonize men. I think it's such an underhanded thing for it. The opposite of that was, I guess glamorizing single momhood, right? That is a big part of that too, where it's like, you don't need men, they're toxic. You don't want your kids raised by men. There's a lot of things where again, you basically get to a point to where, you're stereotyping all men. And I'm not even sure, like, what are some of those toxic masculinity traits that we're talking about exactly? That's pretty hard to nail down too. And then my question, the other part of that is there toxic femininity? And if so, what is that?
Why are you pointing at me?
I'm sorry, man. Don't hit me.
You're off. You're kicked off. Say goodbye to Chris, everyone. He's done.
I had to break up the seriousness.
I don't even know that dude.
You knew that, dude.
It's a great evening.
Suddenly Chris is
Now I
suffering
am
from
toxic.
Suddenly Chris has AFib too.
Robin, look at their backyard.
Oh,
Samantha, I'm coming home.
Everybody's having a heart attack around summer. It's weird.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Black Widow.
Otter said
my cup
Tucker
shut.
Carlson interviewed Tate, and it's on Twitter now. He said it's a good interview.
That's what
Oh, yeah?
I saw when I looked up Andrew Tate, and they said it was a epic interview.
I like Tucker Carlson's interviews.
Mike Ken just said, I just picked up Josh Hawley's book, Manhood. Manhood, the Masculine Virtue America Needs. I haven't read it yet. Is that Josh Hawley, the senator? I didn't know.
I'll look it up for you.
I didn't know he had written a book. Hadn't heard about that. Josh Zartman said, the
100%
world
right.
cares too much about participation trophies and feelings. When we were younger, you were taught to lose. Now, if you don't, just hand out trophies, raise your voice. It's toxic, or resort to complete violence and usually just grabbing a gun. The problem is, too, is
Or mansplaining.
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 I hate that word.
Mansplaining. Like, what
Or
is it-
even like,
what does that
you
mean?
know how men sit with their legs apart for obvious
that's
reasons.
manspreading.
That's man spreading, and apparently that's
Yeah.
a sign of toxic masculinity too.
Well,
Because you're
there's-
trying to like dominate.
Yeah, but
space.
there's a lot more things down there.
I know. I just said I
that
understand why.
Need room to breathe. But no, going back to Josh Hartman, talking about giving out participation trophies.
Yes, Senator.
If I have the chance, I'd never let Remington win in Mario Kart. I'm just saying right now. That kid has lost
No.
hard
You gotta-
in Mario
Never
Kart.
once around here have the boys won
Nope.
something unless they earned it.
Damn right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And he's beat me a couple
They
times, and I
rushed.
tell you what,
They
he
do
lets
get
me
crushed.
know it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I might be inebriated. And
I'll
I'm like,
tell you what.
damn
I
it.
learned that. I learned that lesson from my dad. My dad used to take me to pool halls and bars since I was like 3.
let me get you a box, son. To stand up.
That was the greatest time. Like, I'm playing darts. I'm playing pool. But my
Hell
dad,
yeah.
my dad was a heck of a pool player, and I grew up playing him. And I remember, playing him many, many times, all the way till obviously I was in my teens. But growing up, I didn't care if I was 5 years old. First, my dad was like, crack, just never give me a shot. Didn't let me
Run the
win
table,
nothing.
and you'd be like,
But I
owe me $5.
remember to this day, the exact bar we were in the very first time I beat him. And it was one of the greatest things that ever happened to me.
that's awesome.
Any other time, he was like, you suck.
Well,
So
anytime you want to
bad.
show me how to play, come on over.
Well, we'll do
I
that.
got a table in the basement. Let's do it.
All right. Let me see what else we got here.
And Gary,
Thank-
it was
thank you,
the
Josh.
senator.
Okay, huh. I didn't know that. Didn't know he had,
Everybody
had
listening,
a book.
if you're playing video games, beat your kids every time because the day's coming. They're gonna beat.
But
you.
yeah, part of that is number one. Men have contributed greatly to society, as have women in their own ways. I mean, a little bit. But at the end
Glad
of
the pressure's off me
at the
now.
end of the day, one of the things is that and obviously Jordan Peterson is able to talk about this so eloquently, and he brings up all these facts. Men are the ones that break their backs working and building in this country. Men are the ones that die most frequently in wars. They're the most prone to suicide.
And probably more so now that they have all this. They're being told that everything that is natural about them is wrong.
And you're told that from a very young age, so you're stuck, not so confused at who you should be growing up, right? You can't, if you're a man's man or a boy's boy, you can't grow up like that hardly anymore. So it's no wonder that we have all these confused kids dealing with all these emotions that they don't know how to deal with. And being told and being promoted that, you should be a lot more feminine, or you should just go ahead and become a girl. That's why we're seeing a rise in this. And of course, not only that, it has a genuine national security issue, because we see what's happening to our armed forces, where
What was it?
masculinity is not a virtue anymore. And that's exactly what we need as war fighters to go out and fight wars. Is we need tough, hardy men.
Go ahead, Chris.
Take that a step further. Flip it around.
Flip what around?
Think about that. It just hit me. So think about that.
Light bulb.
Yeah. So if we don't have any masculine men in the civilian population anymore,
Yeah.
how easily is that overrun?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. I mean,
I never even thought about that until you just said that.
And you guys can put your tinfoil hats back on, going back to my
but
conspiracy
still.
theories.
Well, that's what the point Jeff brought up earlier. He
Like-
said if you don't have anybody to fight, how easy is it for tyranny to take over?
Tyranny and or other countries, and that's a real thing.
So we all gonna have to work triple and quadruple time to.
We're gonna have to start making kids. Probably it's gonna take some surrogates, but we gotta start.
I mean,
Because Robin ain't gonna have another one after this.
I'm past my baby making
I
years.
wouldn't wreck her.
We gotta
She
raise
is
some more
not
boys.
happy. But I mean,
That second one
That's-
will do it to you.
Well,
that's crazy to me. And I heard another thing, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I saw that this year, maybe, or this year and last year, the Army is 15,000 enrollees down in the something like that. Don't
I
quote
think
me.
recruiting is down like by 25 or 30%.
Yeah,
like
okay.
that. But here's another problem, and this is something that I experienced just as I was getting out, where we were starting to see more and more of this, is where we're integrating women. Number one, we're lowering standards. We're lowering standards in Ranger Regiment and SF and all special operations and in the infantry, saying that, hey, women can do all these things that men can do. And the fact of the matter is they can't. They can't do those things, which is why there has been these experiments in the past where they didn't lower standards and women could not pass.
We're physically
Those-
built different. Don't
absolutely.
sit here and
Yeah,
think that I'm
100%.
sitting here thinking,
I
that
don't
I'm a
think that.
weaker person, I'm a worse person, or I'm not as good, or I'm not as equal. No, we're just built differently, and
Correct.
I'm willing to accept that.
Honestly, I'd be fine if there were women in SF, Ranger Battalion, infantry, right? As long as the standards weren't lowered.
Well,
And they were
right?
built like
because
you.
there are some beasts out there.
now,
The-
this is from
right.
an outsider point of view, because obviously I haven't been in the military, but
Yeah.
just the thought of women being in those high pace operational units where these guys need to focus and do what they need to do, and they're having women there to distract them.
Well, not
Well,
only,
I mean,
not only
if
that,
they're on the team though, or
No,
whatever.
so here.
I mean, they're going to get pregnant. I mean, that's
Here's-
going
here's
to happen.
number
Yeah.
like
Let's
that's going.
or their aunts in
This
town
is
that week.
this
It's
is
like,
why.
oh crap.
That's exactly why we didn't have women in combat units for so long.
Yeah, for
Even
sure.
if they could meet the standards, that creates a dynamic that is not inducive or conducive
There
to
you go.
combat.
And as a SF wife, I sure as heck didn't want women in my husband's unit.
Yeah,
Because at that point, I mean, you're probably looking at goats about
Well,
And
that.
all
it's-
I'm saying,
and
there's
it's-
plenty of weak
let's-
dudes out there that.
Oh,
that,
yeah.
There
that,
are.
like have some.
but here's the difference, Jay. Let's say you
Abercrombie
have a
models and
chick.
stuff.
Let's say you have a chick on a team, right?
Yeah.
You guys are out doing a hit. You're doing a freaking.
Yeah.
You're hitting an objective. Like there's weak dudes that to some degree you can compartmentalize and be like, all right, if he gets shot or does something stupid because on him, yeah, of course we're
I know where you're going with this.
But at the same time, if you have a chick, and this is part of the problem, you have a chick that's genuinely putting out as much as she can, and that's not a Freudian
I was
slip.
going to say,
that an innuendo?
define putting out.
Maybe it wasn't Freudian slip.
She's putting forth and
She's
as
putting
much-
forth maybe more effort just to keep up with the freaking, freaking trunk monkeys that are on a team. So she's trying really hard. I'm telling you right now, there's gonna be multiple guys on the team that feel bad for,
Yeah, I
that
was
are gonna
about
be
to say
looking
that.
for, that are gonna distract you from the mission that you're kind of like catering to. You just
Because your
it's just-
natural instinct, as it should be, if you have
Absolutely.
good masculinity, is to protect
women should
women and
not have
children.
combat arms. I'm sorry, I don't
I
feel
mean,
it.
So you're
I
kicking
do-
in the
Anybody
door,
says-
you're holding the door
that-
for her to go
that
in,
is
you know what I
the-
mean?
that is the-
You're
that
you're,
is the
you're
one,
picking
like-
her up every time she freaking falls down.
Come on.
Like-
Come on, Tanya.
That is
can't-
the one psychological point that I can completely understand, because if there's a dude on the team that's weak, right?
You're gonna be like,
he's
"Get
like
your
the
shit together."
wolves are on top of him,
And,
right?
and here's
Like,
another that's one thing, Jay. But hold on, there's another part of that. Try kicking that chick off the team if she can't freaking perform.
Can't do that.
Try doing that.
Can't do
Well,
That's
you
an
know,
EEO complaint that's definitely not going to freaking go anywhere.
I mean, it's a possibility.
The team leader or the team sergeant pushing that to get that person removed, they're the ones going to get kicked off.
Yep.
So
I
now
wouldn't
you
say
have
you're wrong on that.
now you have a team that is more watered down, and that is happening to our entire armed forces, folks,
Like I
all
said.
across there. We have less people, but then we have lesser quality people in the realm of performance that are filling these roles that are making our entire country weaker, and that's just a fact. Like I'm telling you, it's less than 1%.
I mean, it's just like our country would be a lot weaker if freaking men were like, "Oh, I want the chance to bear a child and give birth to
Well,
a child."
they're
and
doing it.
They can do that. Somewhere.
not biological men, but I'm just saying,
That
like,
is, I can't
you
believe you
guys,
said that on the air.
you guys would
I
never.
cannot believe you said something.
You guys would
so
never survive.
Transphobic.
I would survive.
No, you wouldn't.
Yes, I would.
Let me tell you something.
It's coming out your butt,
I
Chris.
have been. I have been.
Oh,
I've had
here
the
we go.
flu. I've had the flu before, and unless you're a woman that has given birth, you don't understand what it's like to have man flu.
I have given birth.
Yeah,
Man flu.
and I'm not
It
even
is.
sure you're there yet.
Nope.
I'm not sure. you're there yet.
Or have a vasectomy.
No.
Yeah.
Gary has said many times, if it were up to him to populate the earth, we'd be shit out of luck.
Yeah, I wouldn't have no baby. Nothing coming out of there. No. And I would be if I was a woman, I'd be gay. I'll be honest with you.
I like Willie Everett. Here comes a man.
I'll be honest with you. Men are gross. Men are absolutely gross.
You just gonna leave your phone on the floor now.
Personally,
Yeah,
I'm a
probably.
lesbian myself. I am married to a woman, so
What?
Go on.
I identify. as
Go
a
on.
woman. I'm a lesbian.
You're a lesbian?
Yeah.
Sweet.
I got your mic, Gary, for you to sit back.
That's why we love you, Jason.
Well, I mean, you got the woman's car.
I mean,
right.
you talk about a saint. You talk about a person throwing herself on a hand grenade.
Brianna?
Brianna, we love you. Thanks for taking one for the team and controlling this.
That
SOB.
poor woman.
She took one for humanity. Oh God!
I don't know.
mean,
She procreated with him.
Could you imagine?
No, she probably looked at him and said, "He can pick up things for me."
But could
Yeah,
you
that's
imagine making whoopee with him?
Ew. Come on,
I
guys.
just think in my head. It's
Not
like,
you, it's you,
now,
Jason.
Now
I'm
that
just
you
saying, we
said
don't need
that,
to go
Gary,
into this subject.
do you want to see that grunting over you?
Ew, stop.
I love you, Jay, but it's close. You get close enough when you're cracking my back on your floor. And you just like,
Oh, my God, really?
Is that what you guys call it now?
oh yeah, Jay's. What was you in?
What are you-
Reflexology or
Yeah, that's it.
All right. So
Yeah.
getting the car back
respiratory
on
therapy?
getting the car back on the tracks here.
I love you, Jay.
We got to do a good job of standing up to that. Definitely raising boys to be men, being good examples. But again, we can't be afraid of our masculinity, and we need to make sure that we are promoting that in a good,
I like a
positive
manly
way.
man.
I know you do. You got the freaking best one.
They can't go out in the sun for more than an hour. Or the moon.
On a much more serious note, and obviously this has been in the news quite a bit. Justin actually sent me an email on this a little while ago. We have the movie The Sound of Freedom with Jim Caviezel.
Put that on my list.
I had to figure out how to actually say his name. I looked that up.
Oh, that's why you were
Caviezel?
playing that earlier.
Caviezel? I want to say Caviezel, but I
The
like
Sound of
it's
Freedom?
Caviezel. Directed by Mel Gibson, based on Tim Ballard, a former DHS special agent and founder and CEO of Operation Underground Railroad. What's shocking to me, and I actually posted something on this, and this is why, even before I had an email regarding this, it was kind of weird because I was planning on talking about this tonight. We actually have, if you guys have seen how the media has just tried to tear up that movie. Talking about, it's being, they're just trying to undermine it in any way possible, which is crazy to me, which also, by the way, I posted on our Twitter. So make sure you follow us on Twitter. But I posted on Twitter the fact that California Democrats blocked bill to make child trafficking a felony.
Blocked it?
They blocked it in California.
I can't believe it's not already a felony.
So,
Right? That's
what
what I was just thinking.
what-
I'm like, wait, so it's not already a felony?
She should be under the jailhouse.
like how is that not a
yeah.
felony? But here's the reality, folks, and we've seen this creeping up in the left wing for a long time now. The fact of the matter is they are tacitly approving pedophilia. That's just a reality. And I think that in the next 10 years, that's the next big push that we're going to be seeing is, you screw the community guidelines, Richie. If nothing else, you guys switch over to Rumble, and hopefully we'll be there. If
What, did I blow
this
that?
goes dark. I think a lot of us did that this night. But the reality is that we have a Democratic Party, the party of Epstein, by the way,
That's exactly where I was going.
that have
We're definitely getting banned now.
either directly or indirectly been pushing this for a long time, that have either been completely soft on it and now are openly objecting anything that holds anybody accountable for any sort of pedophilia. And I think they actually even have another word for, like people attracted to minors,
Yeah,
right?
Something like that. Yeah.
Minor attracted person.
Minor attracted
it's
person.
something sounds so safe.
What a disgusting thing.
Shot in
Yeah.
the face.
And
I
the
wish
reality
somebody would.
is that we obviously, I do think that child trafficking and trafficking, human trafficking in general, is a much larger issue outside of this country, but there is a real, that is a real thing even within this country. And I was reading a bunch of articles, kind of just trying to, I haven't watched The Sound of Freedom yet. I plan to. But the reality is that is taking place all over the world. And definitely takes place to some degree even here in the U.S.
I think that happens way more in the U.S. than you realize.
Oh,
yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I
I think it's
doubt
pretty
that.
prevalent.
100%.
I don't doubt that.
We literally have to watch videos on it at work.
Yeah.
And train on it yearly on this, what to spot, and have to pass the
I was
test at
watching a
the end.
documentary on underage girls being trafficked to the Super Bowl to be prostituted, and the
guarantee it.
huge amount of business that is.
Yep.
It's billions of dollars every
sure.
Super Bowl.
I would
I think
say
it's happening a lot worse in the US than
I
people
actually
think.
think
Yeah.
like where not child trafficking, but pedophilia is where we were, say, like the 1950s with like the gay community, right? Where like everyone was so like
I'll turn the blind eye
anti-gay,
thing.
yeah,
So-
it's anti-gay,
And then
right?
surely it's
like,
not really happening.
right, sure, it's not really happening,
Yeah.
but they were just so like undercover, right? So that way they wouldn't get caught. And now today, right, it's onto that movement.
So
right?
Well, and there's a major attempt to normalize it.
For sure,
And
right.
That's
Right.
what's going on. And
Yeah,
we can look
100%.
at, I'm not going to talk about the philosophical difference or the theological or
No.
get into
Oh, I'm
any
not-
of-
but-
no. I'm talking about when
not-
it comes to gays.
Yeah. I'm not comparing that to
No,
the gay.
yeah,
community.
that's
I'm just
apple
saying,
and
like,
oranges.
Well,
the
I'm getting
right?
ready to actually. I'm
Oh,
getting ready to
okay.
compare it to
Okay.
so back in the 80s and 90s
Chris's face.
where we started to see this normalization movement, right or wrong or indifferent. I'm not passing
not saying
judgment
it's
one way or
right.
the other.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that we normalized. It was like, hey, you know what? We just want to be able to live our lives all right, hey, I think most Americans were like, fine, do what you want to do.
Yeah.
Again, I am a through and through libertarian. I want people to be able to live their life, do what they want, regardless of how I think. There's obviously some left or right limits that we all have, which we need to draw some lines on certain things. But with that being said, then it moved to, you know what, we need to be able to be married. And I think most of people, after a while, especially, even though Obama himself and Joe Biden said, hey, you know what, they believe that marriage is between a man and a woman. I think that has some
Obama said
negative.
that?
Yes, they did, absolutely. Prior to his election in 2008.
To cover it.
So anyways, we've changed. Now we've gotten to a point to where they want LGBTQ, all that stuff crammed down our kids' throats starting in kindergarten.
I think the point you're trying to make is that they appealed to, hey, we just want to live our lives with the gay issue, and they're using that same tactic now.
They
with
normalize things.
Oh, we just want to live our lives and be who we are.
The left is good at normalizing issues, and the next thing you
inserting
know,
that.
you're being demanded, even to some degree by law, to participate in these things. And that is the difference. When you are being forced to bake a cake or create a website that you feel is morally wrong, you know what? It is okay for you to be gay. I don't care how you live your life, but you know what? It's also absolutely okay, and it's absolutely
For me to say I don't want to participate.
I don't want to participate. It's also okay for me to say I think that lifestyle is wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. We still have
freedom of
a
speech.
freedom of religion, freedom of speech. And you know what? I will actually fight for your right to live your life however you want, but you better sure as hell leave me alone and my family alone, and let us believe what we want to believe, and let us teach our kids what we want to teach our kids.
Damn straight.
Sure.
So
you want to live your life? Let us live ours.
absolutely. Again,
Don't put it in my face.
live and let live. Definitely don't put it in my face.
Well, squeaky wheel gets the
That
grease.
sounds weird.
I mean, it makes sense.
Don't be flopping that.
It covers two caveats. Don't put it in my face.
And speaking of
gotta
which,
tell Jay all the
speaking
time.
of which,
Got it all on my
now
face.
we have people saying that they have a right during gay pride parades to walk around naked,
Which is
in front
Yeah,
of
no.
children. Like
Yeah.
That's not
Or
a
to
right.
be topless on the
That's
White
not a
House
thing.
On the
lawn.
White House lawn.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
Jay
Yeah.
didn't do it during the white power parade.
Look,
Yeah.
look.
Oh my
Jesus.
Joe
I'm just
Biden-
kidding. Jesus
Hey,
Christ. I'm just kidding.
No, I'm
He's
not going to
just
let that
kidding. I'm just
stand.
kidding.
Joe Biden is bringing decency and honor back to the White House. So you two,
Oh, here's
You
the
two,
here's the
stop it.
segue.
Yeah,
I
you
just,
two stop
I
it.
just felt your segue
So
coming
how do
in.
you think you brought this up earlier and you haven't touched on it? You said that topic number 1 of toxic masculinity goes into and affects topic number 2, child trafficking. What's your take on how making masculinity toxic leads to more child trafficking?
Ooh.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So I think again they start to combine these issues, right? Where it's becomes where we go to minor attracted person, and when you have guys like me, they're saying, you know what, that is wrong. You start tying all of these things in together to like this again, white male privilege. Now you're a Christian
You're saying
nationalist.
because you're masculine, that your opinion on some of these things.
Morality too. When you have men speaking about certain things that they believe that have virtue and moral impacts on our country, those are the ones that are targeting with toxic masculinity and say just to shut them up. So there's a lot of different thousands of different elements that are intended to silence people that are opposing the left on every issue, right? So when you have the left that is tacitly and again even openly pushing pedophilia and trafficking of people in general, it's the left that is defending these people. It's the left. It's Democrat. It's the party. It's the Democrat Party in general that has absolutely no moral foundation. There is nothing that is wrong. There is no limit to whatever that you want to do as long as you vote for the Democrat Party. There is no moral fiber to fall back on.
I think more organically, I think toxic masculinity and that whole premise of demonizing men, breaking down the family leads to child trafficking, because then you have these children that don't have a father figure.
Yeah.
They're susceptible to, especially, young girls going out and looking for that father figure because
100%.
there's no father figure in the home. and then they're susceptible to being
or being raised
trafficked.
by poor mothers, or being raised by poor fathers that have to have a job but
Yeah.
still can't afford
Yep.
childcare, so that
They're home alone a lot.
these are essentially latchkey kids, or these are kids being left with people that you're kind
Can't
of
be trusted.
yeah, you know that you know they can't afford childcare, so they're stuck leaving it with maybe a family member that they don't trust, or these kids are being abused in different ways, not necessarily even sexually, but end up running away, and next thing you know, they're being trafficked. So, I mean, at the end of the day, what all of this comes back down to is that the instability of the American family, and that is a huge point where, again, all of these things affect that, and all of these things are affected by the breakdown of the American family. And the impacts of that can't be overstated.
No, I just wanted to hear your opinion on how you felt the two tied together.
Well, that's a first.
Yeah. We never have conversations where I ask for your opinion.
But I think you actually correlated that very well.
Well,
I enjoyed
thank
listening to that.
Otter says they're trying to cancel those that would defend the children.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sign me up. I'll go punch people in the face for the kids.
Me too.
That's
Jeff
crazy.
said it will continue to
give a shit.
expand, continue to take inch by inch until you have the yard desensitized people.
They're
over time.
great at
Absolutely.
incrementalism.
Yep. Jeff also says by demonizing men, you silence their opposition to anything, and those that will that will oppose it most are masculine men because they will stand up against evil. And that's a really good point too. It's just the fact that, and really what you said earlier too, Jeff, against tyranny, but getting into the more nuance of it, you know, that's the thing is it's only going to be masculine men that stand up, that are willing to risk anything to stand up against tyranny or against a populace, or what is, because that's another thing that the left is really good at, is they're really good at creating this false sense that your opinions are the major minority, when in reality, they leave everybody feeling like that, right? So you're left with staying quiet when in reality it's again that silent majority, but on so many more issues than even come to light, even the average conservative talking head talking about it. Like, there's so many issues that the majority opinion goes against the narrative that says, hey, this is what everybody thinks. When we can go back to talking about like 98% of all scientists think this, or, you know, everybody thinks this about, you know, all the entire medical industry thinks X, Y, and Z about COVID, the COVID vaccines, the origins of COVID. That's what they do on all of these issues, is they isolate you, thinking that you're the batshit crazy one.
And then if you don't agree,
you're just crazy.
Yeah.
You're just crazy. So,
and then you feel pressured to agree.
you absolutely, or you may never agree, but you're definitely pressured to shut the hell up.
And while we're on this topic, it's a perfect time to say what I was just thinking the whole time we were saying about it. So you always hear people toxic masculinity, all that.
Yep.
But you know, the guys that are masculine never speak up. And if you could take a poll of the United States as a whole, non-hindered by any newspaper, social media outlet, anything, I guarantee you there would be an overwhelming number of people that would side with a man should be a man and do X, not far right X, or not toxic masculinity X, but just being a man that we have been born and raised from, just say from the 1900s up or 1860s and up. I guarantee it would be an overwhelming number of like 80 to 20. Not as they're saying, it's a 50-50 now shift.
Here's a couple of things I've thought of from a woman's perspective. Is a woman that would stand up in defense would be accused as a traitor. Well, you've been brainwashed by a man.
You're a witch.
Yeah, you know, like you're under a man's control.
Or what the narrative is that conservative women only vote the way their husbands tell them to.
Yeah, okay.
That's what you hear all the time.
I usually go vote before you. I get up and go to the poll before
Let me catch you voting for Democrats. So help me God.
And but the other thing with
I'm not
that,
going to say anything.
the other thing with that is I think the messaging has also done a really good job of convincing women that they don't want a man that's too masculine. They don't want a man that has these traits, and they want a man that's this and that and the other. But what a woman really wants is a man that opens the freaking door for her, that pays for her when they go out. Like all those things that, oh, well, that's toxic because he's asserting his control over you.
I'm gonna tell you, I agree. I wish I had a man that fixed my car, mowed my grass, opened the door for me, paid for my meal.
Hey, baby,
Girl.
well, what you doing, boo?
Right?
That would be amazing.
But by
Chris just
return, if you
realized
have
he
a
was
good,
gay.
Yeah.
Just now.
but by return, if you have a good woman, she's doing things.
Absolutely, it's a 50-50.
Yeah.
100%.
I
And that's
think it was-
it's what my house is.
Yeah, I think so. I just had posted something on Twitter. It was like a liberal commentator. She was talking about. I want basically. She was frustrated that she couldn't find a liberal man that basically treated her like a conservative
man would.
Like what? And this is what you see a lot. Like you know, and that's another thing that the Democrat Party has done a good job of.
They wrote an article about
brainwashed
this?
women that their party is the
That's what I'm-
party of
that's what
women.
I was saying.
No, I know.
What in the?
I'm just mansplaining it to you. I don't
Hold on.
think you
Let me
quite.
think like a
I don't-
summer. You just man.
I don't think you quite
Can
get
you?
it.
Can you?
Um,
Come on.
yeah,
I mean, my God, it sounds like a horrendous thing to try to fathom
well,
going into the dating world
here's-
nowadays.
God.
Good God.
Here's a good example of this. So, what do you guys think when we talk about all the trans and everything like that? What is the actual
Transmissions.
yes.
I mean, you got a 4L80, 4L60.
So
4L85.
Quit mansplaining,
what do
Chris.
we think?
Trim-
What do we think the
trim
trans
capacity.
population actually is?
Which side?
Huh?
Which side of
Does
the
it-
trans? Where they began?
All trans.
Oh, I don't have any.
I mean, what do you think? How many?
How many?
Wait,
The
what-
population?
what's
Yeah,
What's the question?
percentage. A percentage.
Half a percent.
Oh, not even
Well,
that much. I'm
percentage.
going 0.1.
Yeah, I would
The
say
actual
1% of
number. The
1%.
actual number is apparently half of 1%.
Oh my
no-
God, I
there's
was
no-
on the
But
number.
see, the thing is,
Yeah.
that's when people just check the box.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm trans.
Well,
Yeah.
and again,
Well, no, but
right
it's-
now,
Why did you say it that way,
Well,
Chris?
that's what they're going to say. If I was a dude and I want to be trans, I got to get the list.
well,
going.
that's only those that claim it too, right?
right,
You don't
because
really
there could be
know.
some closet ones too. And I'm fine with that.
Well,
they can
I
be
also
trans if
think-
they want. Don't
I
put it in my face.
I think there's a lot of folks claiming to be trans that
That
either-
aren't actually.
that aren't actually
Correct. Just want to fit
They're
the
doing
narrative.
that. They're doing that to get attention. And
Yep.
number two, let's be clear on this. There's lots of folks that are just
Genuinely confused.
mentally, whatever.
Confused.
They're mentally confused, and it's not just that area of their life. And that's the other thing too. Is like after like 2 years of actually, if you get surgery and you've gone through that transition period, something like after 2 years, the suicide rates actually go up on that. But
Once you got rid of
again,
it, you can't really get it back.
we've been convinced that there's this overwhelming population that is either trans, that supports this movement, that supports their gender in general being some sort of social construct. It's not. It's a thing, right?
Well, that's like I said earlier. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. They
And-
make the most noise.
But what's crazy is when you have
I'm just
literal
saying.
literal
I mean, you're not wrong, Summer.
college professors that are supposedly scientists saying that gender isn't biological. Like, you're an idiot.
Let me
Yeah,
see.
no, that's ridiculous.
It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah,
What's
I
that?
got it.
There's two genders.
There's
What are
I
they
count-
determined by, Chris?
I counted them up online.
What are they
comments.
determined
I think
by?
it's by an X or
Y
a
chromosome.
Y chromosome.
And that's not scientific, though.
No,
Or men-
It's not biological.
Men
Maybe
have,
it- maybe it's
men
an
have
XX.
PPs, women have vaginas. That's another thing that determines that.
bullshit.
It's not a boomer.
That is not true. What if I have a tail?
Then you're not a human.
I mean, I'm a reptilian on that plane earlier this week.
Chris has experienced the crying game more than once. That was before.
Man,
Robert.
we are all off.
no, that
We
is-
are all off the road
TC
today with the
brings
car.
up,
That's a-
one of the-
that's a solid tattoo to get right there.
That's
What's
my
that?
one of my favorite
That's a
quotes. there.
mantra right there.
Oh yeah, I've seen that many times.
Yep.
Tough men create easy times. Easy times create weak men. Weak men create tough times. Tough times create tough men.
Yep. It's a bell curve.
I think we're going into the weak men create tough
It's
times.
not a bell curve, Jay.
It's a
It's
cycle,
more of a
Jay.
wavelength.
Yeah, it's a cycle.
A bell curve
so-
just goes up and down.
Yeah,
Wavelength
it goes
keeps
up.
going, keeps going. Though.
So weak men, it's
That's science.
peaking right now, and then creates tough
are
times.
they
and then we
peaking
get
right
back-
now?
Yeah.
Weak men's peaking right now. You
I
think?
would, I would think so. Yeah.
You think?
I hope
Well,
this is the peak.
So that was another point I was going to bring up that kind of correlates with all this stuff, and I'm not sure exactly how, but we definitely see. I don't know, Jay, if you can pull up the percentage. We've seen testosterone rates drop dramatically since the '60s. I think they're like 50%.
What do you mean testosterone rates?
Like the average
The
testosterone
average
level.
testosterone level in a man.
Yeah, but you got to go get tested for that. Have you gone and get yours tested?
Absolutely, I have.
I haven't got mine tested.
Well, you
I ain't-
should.
I ain't worried about it.
No, but
Everything's still. All
there
my
is
pipes
a
are still
there is a
working fine.
baseline compared to now and
Versus like the 60s.
versus
So essentially, you're saying there's evolution. We're like, hey, we don't need as much testosterone.
I don't think it's evolution.
No,
I think
I-
it's poisoning from environmental
I don't know.
factors, food.
The reality
Really?
is that going back 40, 50, 60 years ago, men on average had much higher rates levels of testosterone than they do today.
I think environmental factors are wreaking havoc
So based on
human
and
hormones.
this is from Medichecks.com. Again, this is just a quick source. I don't know. I haven't really fact checked it,
on
but
the Googs.
based on the average testosterone levels in men are declining by 1% every year, give or take. Research carried out on Finnish and Danish
And Finnish and
populations.
Danish populations are some of the happiest
I
in
was
the
gonna
world,
say,
correct?
They're probably the most healthiest of them.
So
Yeah.
hold on before you click out of there. Right there it says, why are men's testosterone levels decreasing? Hit that.
Medichecks.
Medichecks. I'm sure it's legit.
Let's see.
Oh, he looks like.
Says for decades, testosterone
accept
levels
all.
have been
Accept all.
declining.
Yeah, I'd have to read a little bit more about this, right?
Oh, this is
This is an article. This is why I was just quoting it.
just go down to why. We don't need to know that it's happened. External toxins,
Plastic bottles.
fewer smokers. What?
See?
Fewer smoke. Well, I smoke cigars.
My
so
testosterone's
I'm
probably
good to
through
go.
the roof then.
Good to go.
Well, good. You can live a little longer. You can live a little
I'm
longer
a-
with higher testosterone.
I'm
You
gonna
can
live
have
a
lung
little
cancer.
less.
Hey,
Lung
you know what?
cancer.
I'm gonna keep. I'm not
Other
gonna have low
causes.
T.
Diabetes.
Tighter fitting underwear.
Ooh, because we wear boxing briefs, I guess.
Well, diabetes, that goes back to the freaking
That's
food pyramid.
diabetes.
And the warmer temperatures sitting in a home office, that makes sense too, because it's killing them. And you drink Mountain Dew
And
now.
let's the other
Yellow
thing,
5.
the other probably the biggest
Like
thing
I said,
outside
environmental
of
food.
outside of
Spermageddon.
food issues and all the different GMOs and all that other stuff, which you know what, if somebody came out tomorrow with a study that said, hey, you know what, we found out that there's been this big thing to actually push in genetically modified foods so that lowers men's testosterone, I would probably believe that 100%.
I would believe it in 100%.
But the other
It's
part
called
of
a
that
microwave.
is vigorous exercise. That's a huge part of that.
Well, then you're a right wing extremist.
Settle down, Gary.
I will stow my toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Like kids and men in general, we're stuck in offices. We're not doing nearly as much physical activity, which by itself that has been proven to lower testosterone.
Much less
Anytime that you go work
vigorous
out.
physical exercise.
Yep. So there's a huge part of that.
Yeah. I can vouch
Jay
for that.
Caledonia. I'm messing this
What are
up.
you reading right now?
Jay, see, this
It's
is
on
from
Rumble.
Rumble.
Okay.
How did they get those testosterone numbers? Again, I don't know. I'm just pulling up that website.
Well, I mean, it's
JC.
It
not
was just
like-
on the Googs.
Right, just real quick. I don't know if that's like a true fact or not. It was just a quick reference.
No, I've
for
seen
now.
I've seen many
Multiple.
studies that have shown.
I think
just
Fauci put
that.
it up.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, it's not like we weren't doing blood analysis,
Yeah.
back in the 50s and 60s on testosterone levels. We were, and probably even much sooner than that. So I think that
That's interesting.
there's definitely plenty of data there. You guys can look those things up, and maybe as we're sitting here talking, if you guys can look up some more studies and post some of the things that you find out there.
In that same period of time, they've realized how important testosterone is in function.
Well,
for
they're talking about
so many
pesticides
things.
right now
Well-
on Rumble right now, like
like
food being sprayed with pesticides,
100%.
right? Like, yeah, for sure.
Well, they
right?
got
That
rid
could
of
definitely-
DDT, so it should be fine now, right?
Woo.
I have a BPA. Was it BPA free?
BPAH or something like
It's
that.
BPA, Jason.
BPA
BPA
free water bottle.
Well,
I'm good to go.
I'll tell
Me
you
too.
who talked a lot about genetically modified food and the different chemicals they're using for that, different pesticides and stuff like that. If you guys haven't watched the Robert Kennedy interview with Joe Rogan, you guys need to watch that. They dive deep into that, and they do a lot of link analysis.
You really like Robert Kennedy? Over
I
there, huh?
did. Well,
Is that what we were
I
watching
did-
that day
So,
or
do you
listening
not
to?
like him?
I actually do. He has a
I'm
lot
sure
of good
he's
points.
surprised because he's a Democrat.
Yeah, I actually do. He has made quite a few good points there.
The only time that I knew the first thing about Robert Kennedy was I listened to Joe Rogan and listened to him. Again, I thought he was kind of a wackadoodle. I knew he was a Democrat, so I didn't really like him to begin with. because I'm very prejudiced against Democrats. I will admit that right on
You?
camera.
No,
it's hard to believe.
I saw him doing push-ups, and I was like, man, I've listened to that guy.
But I will tell you, when you listen to him in a long form interview like that, and he also had one with Russell Brand that I haven't listened to yet that I plan on listening to. The guy just is clearly lucid, extremely smart on so many different topics, worth listening to. I don't think he should be president, but I do think that he has a lot of things that are very valid, and has a lot of good research under his belt when it comes to everything from pesticides to other EPA issues to
Vaccines. I listened to the portion about
ATF
vaccines.
issues.
I think it's if you haven't listened to that, you need to listen to that. I think it's number one. You'll learn a lot from it. I know I did, and you'll walk away with a much better respect. And I actually really like him now that I actually listen to him, as opposed to just going off of some prejudice that I personally had, or even some of the loony stuff that I heard about him, which turned out to be completely untrue. And Joe Rogan brings up that, and they just kind of go down the list. Well, this publication said this about you, and he explains what he actually said compared to what they said he said.
Oh, so Joe threw it in his face and said, "Hey, you said this.
Yeah.
What's your rebuttal?"
Yeah,
And he goes,
well, they were saying this, and Joe actually goes through it when he's first welcoming him on. He's like, "Look, man, I wasn't interested in interviewing you because I had heard all these crazy things, and I wasn't, I just thought you were crazy. I mean, everybody was saying it, and then I started actually looking at things you had actually said, and then heard you on a couple, and I was like, I wanted to get you on here and talk to you in person, and it was
That's awesome to get a chance. That's why Joe Rogan's Joe Rogan.
He's really the only one I've ever seen on Fox News. Is
Who?
it?
Who's the only one you've seen on Fox News?
Kennedy.
yeah. Kennedy actually announced his presidency on Tucker Carlson,
Yeah.
which that
He's
was
running.
Yeah.
yeah,
Kennedy? Yeah.
Kennedy's
Yeah.
been running.
He's way behind Biden.
They won't
He's
give him
way
any-
behind
I'm
Biden in the
waiting.
polls.
Jimmy
but
O, 1970 on Rumble says
I'm way behind
Robert
on
Kennedy
everything.
is a trap. Is a trap.
is a trap.
well,
Is he needs to put up the Star
not
Wars
to worry.
picture.
I
I
think
need
he's
to
like
It's a trap.
he's a good 30 or 40 points behind Biden in the Democratic.
I mean,
polls,
I wouldn't
so.
doubt it. So is Trump.
I think he would negatively affect Biden more than he would anybody on the right.
Right.
Even
He's
though
gonna
that,
pull votes away.
even though that he would definitely pull votes even from conservative or libertarian without a doubt,
I
or
don't care.
independent.
I don't care what any of those points say anyway. I mean, look at Jeb Bush back in the day. He was supposed to be like the whole the candidate for the party back in the day, right? So like, it's way too far out to say like who is going to be like, if the front runner now cannot be the front runner and again in like
Biden
6,
might
7
croak in
months.
the next 6 months.
I'll tell you this, that
I mean, he could fall on his head in the White House.
I will bet you
He gone.
a $100 bill on it, Jason, is that Trump will definitely be the
Benji?
Republican nominee.
The front runner.
There's
No, he'll say the Republican nominee.
the
So
Republican
the front
nominee.
runner.
The front runner.
Yeah. Okay.
I think the Republican establishment are going to do a lot to try to
Put a Benjamin in your hand.
But here's
Jay.
the thing: is it's
You
going to
don't
get
think
to
Trump will get the Republican nomination?
It's too early to tell.
No, it's not. It's not too early to tell. He's gaining more and more traction almost every single
he's
day.
the only one that's out there doing anything right
No,
now.
no,
I
no,
really
no.
not.
I like Tim
DeSantis.
Scott.
Oh,
I like Tim Scott.
DeSantis is a joke.
DeSantis is not a joke.
No.
Yes, he is.
I like
I like
DeSantis.
DeSantis.
I like
don't.
DeSantis,
I
right?
don't.
I
I like about 2/3 of his shit, and then the
I
other
like,
one
I
I
like
don't.
DeSantis.
What can you name any one thing you don't like about
No,
DeSantis?
just the way he carries himself. I do not like that.
Really?
He's a little goofy.
wow.
I like.
Yes, it's
He is
not
a little goofy.
It's not somebody that I can say.
He does
it's-
some
it's-
weird things.
It's like freaking Biden in there. I can't
No,
say. I can't
nuh-uh.
say. Yeah, it is to some points. I can't say. Hey, that's who I want.
That's a terrible comparison.
No,
I
it's
think.
Yeah.
not because that's the way I feel. I don't want
You know
a
what
guy
I,
like
you know what I
Biden
like
in there
about
again.
DeSantis? He's not afraid to freaking be like, "Screw you," just like he did to Disney, and we're gonna do what we
but
think
nobody
is right.
liked that when Trump
And-
did it
and
though.
of course, he
I don't care.
passed the "Don't Say Gay" bill, which was a total farce. But he did make it
I'm just not a
illegal
fan.
in Florida so that they couldn't teach LGBTQ freaking propaganda
In
kindergarten
schools.
through third grade. That's all
Yeah.
it was. But somehow that turned into some super homophobic. You can't say gay, all of which were lies. No, I think that from a policy standpoint, if Trump wasn't around, I would 100% be behind DeSantis.
Same.
And I
If
could
that's
see.
your only choice, yeah.
Well, I don't. I
think
think
that's
he's
the
still
only
the
choice.
best choice.
It's still early.
I mean,
There's somebody might come out flying because I still think.
I think
still
you underestimate Trump's pull.
No, I still think the Democrats are going to do something totally off the wall to blow Trump out of the water
I'm sure they
somehow.
will.
And then Trump's going to have to throw his arm around somebody and say, you got to vote for him because they're trying to put me in jail.
No.
Okay.
No, I
I
don't
think
I'm going
I think you're
to throw a
right.
Benji on that.
I think you're right that they
throw
will
a
do
bench on that.
everything they possibly can to try to destroy him
They
in
already
any
are.
way they. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And look at him.
So
He's trying his damnedest, but I just still
He
think.
just had like a freaking record-breaking
but
fundraising.
he should have won last year and he didn't. Or whatever it was, the last election. He
because
didn't.
of election fraud.
They still
That
got
doesn't
it,
mean he
though.
won't be the
Oh,
Republican
let's not
nominee.
get onto conspiracy theories.
Oh,
again.
here we
That's
go,
not-
Jay.
that's not
That's
a
not a
conspiracy
conspiracy at
theory.
all.
What?
we,
Election fraud?
we definitely had major
That's-
election
They
fraud.
that's-
still
Definitely
did
not
it, though.
conspiracy.
They beat him,
You-
and he
you
should have
definitely
won.
can't prove it didn't
So that's
happen.
what I mean. So that could happen again.
I didn't. We didn't.
No, I
we
didn't say
say
that.
he would definitely be president.
No,
I-
we said
I-
Republican nominee.
I said Republican nominee.
If he doesn't get president, or if somebody doesn't in a red, we might be in trouble.
Oh well, we're definitely gonna be in trouble.
Yeah.
And here's, I think there's gonna be such well, I don't know about that, but you guys going back to saying it's too early. I think
too early.
politics have changed in the last 2 or 3 election cycles where, number one, you're campaigning earlier and earlier.
Yeah.
And I think honestly, anyone getting in after now is too late. Like they're not going to see. This isn't going
They're not
back
gonna
10,
have the time.
15 years ago where you didn't really want to see a front runner emerge until a year out. You can't do that anymore.
So I have a
think-
saying on that too.
What's
What's
that?
that?
Because Trump is dogging DeSantis all over the place because
Sure.
that's his closest thing or closest competitor. I think if something happens, just like Jeff Hahn says, if he gets a conviction, even if it's a falsely accused conviction, and they blow it up across the United States, he's blah 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 blah, whatever they pull up this time for BS,
Conviction or accusation?
anything.
Well, he already,
And
he already
it
has,
totally
he already
eliminates-
has charges filed
Yeah, I
against
know.
him.
But
That's
if
why
it
I'm asking.
totally annuls him from running for president, who he throws his arm around will be the one that gets elected over DeSantis. I don't even. It could be Jay. As long as Trump puts his arm and says, "Vote for this guy," because I
That's
can't
what I'm
get there.
saying. You
I don't
underestimate
know.
Trump's
I
pull when
could
you said he
see-
won't be the next nominee.
I could see.
But he won't. I don't think he will be because I think they're going to do some BS, and then he's going to have to throw his arm around somebody. And he's already dogged DeSantis
So what you're
too
saying
much.
is you don't think it's Trump's pull that won't get him the nomination. You think it's some other machine that's going to come in and take him out.
Correct.
Gotcha.
And then he's going to have to put his arm around
Josh
somebody.
brings up a good point here, and I got a rebuttal for that.
Can we all agree as long as the electoral college exists, your vote really means
Nope.
nothing?
Yes.
No.
100%.
Nope. I
Nope.
think the electoral college is one of the greatest things that
Yep.
ever happened
100%.
to.
I think that is fantastic.
Yep.
Yep.
Right.
Because
without the electoral college, the major cities would.
California
That's all that
and
would
New
count.
York would determine,
would determine
everything.
everything,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
So I'm all for the electoral college.
Me too.
Now, the one time that they ever go against, because they don't have to vote.
Exactly.
Correct.
Like
They
the one
should
time that they
vote.
go against, the democratic system will completely break.
Yeah.
Like that's it. It's over. Right.
I
Like
agree- I agree with that point, but I agree with the
that is
electoral
what
college.
will break the country.
I mean, Virginia was a perfect example. They were all red, and there was like 4 blue counties.
Yeah.
And they went blue.
If they do away with the electoral college, there's no need for me to vote.
No.
There will be no need for me to vote.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to
The-
vote in West
the
Virginia anyway.
cities, the cities will.
And that was
everything.
We're red with
and that
one
was the
vote.
entire point behind the electoral
Yeah.
college is that
Correct.
you wouldn't allow
the
you would
majority.
well not even a majority, but you wouldn't allow certain states that had
The
Higher
population.
population.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
had a
right?
population so great that they could basically run the country on their local politics,
Right.
Yeah.
and in their local situation.
Correct.
When you have a place like California, they still obviously have a lot more electoral votes than some of these smaller states. But again, it does allow the states that have a smaller population still have a significant say
Yeah.
in who
Yeah.
They still have a voice.
Yeah,
Without
absolutely.
the electoral college, the whole middle of the country wouldn't count
Like,
for
yeah, it
anything.
wouldn't count for
Oh,
anything,
no.
yeah.
They wouldn't count for anything.
But I like it.
Well,
It goes red down the middle.
there is an argument to be made that again the majority of we could even say that conversely that maybe a completely democratic vote where you just counted votes would actually possibly even benefit Republicans. But the problem with that is
How?
but
By encouraging people to go vote because they feel like their vote counts more.
So in California, for instance, you have these large population centers that end up determining the vote of the entire.
Yeah,
whereas
just like
if you
Virginia
got rid of the electoral college, basically, because in California you have these 2 or 3 other cities that basically votes.
Well, just like Virginia.
Yeah,
So-
Virginia was
so
like Loudon
there's
an
and
argu-
Richmond.
There's
but
an
when
argument.
Trump won, he won electoral college, but Hillary won popular vote.
100%.
So,
You know,
There's that.
you know what? That
But
brings up a good point. I kind of wonder if, like, with all of the people leaving California, like the cities, I wonder if that's going to flip something.
No,
But
there's still,
the
too
other
many,
thing- the
there's
other
still too
thing-
many pine cone eaters
because the
there.
people
The
leaving
other-
California are the Republicans and conservatives.
Well, I mean, if you
Sorry, to
like
keep
for instance,
interrupting.
generally speaking,
They're
right?
moving
If
to
you have
Texas.
like crime-filled cities, right? Like if your voting population is actually leaving, right? Now, while there's maybe not enough actual voters leaving, right? But there might be enough that like even while the city, I'm kind of, how do I word this, right? Like
I feel
the voters
I
are
feel what you're
leaving.
trying to get.
The
but
the voters are leaving, and what you're going to be left with are people that don't vote, right? Even though your population might be great, right? So, like, I wonder if you might see a couple like real little upsets here
Well,
and there. Like
see-
Texas could be included in this.
Well,
right?
see, here's what I'm
because
thinking.
a lot of Californians are leaving,
Well,
and
if-
going to Texas or Nevada.
But
the-
see, here's the problem, Jay. The Reds leaving California. The Blue still stays there.
That's what I just said.
no, that's not true though, right?
No, that is- that is
I don't-
true.
That is true. The Reds are rolling out.
It is true, but there are a lot of Democratic voters moving to Texas, moving to Florida, because they don't like the actual
crime is
But
rampant.
I don't think they're going to overwhelm the solid red
Well,
states.
so here's a couple issues with what you guys are talking about. Number one, you need to realize, if you don't already, that obviously as the population grows, it's one of the reasons that we have the census. You get additional electoral votes
Correct.
as your population grows.
Correct.
So that kind of handles some of that, as you're kind of talking about, Jay, as you have population move from one state to another. Typically, or if everything is done correctly, those electoral votes will end up
Moving with them.
moving
Right.
with them.
Increase
But-
or decrease.
But the problem that we have in this country is that we have unmitigated illegal immigration. And that is another reason why we have the Democratic Party that is pushing people to, are pushing everybody to allow illegals to vote, both in local, state,
Oh,
and
for
ultimately federal elections.
Well, the Democratic Party generally has the Hispanic vote,
So-
right? So
Yeah,
which is
that's who
odd-
Jay- that's who
odd
Jay
to me,
voted for.
right? Yeah,
well,
which is odd to me.
and that's even going away.
Yeah.
So,
Right, it should be.
That's
right?
shifting a
'Cause
little bit.
Generally, Hispanics are more
Very
conservative,
conservative.
right?
Yep.
But like it's the Democratic Party. You get a lot of benefits from them.
You get a lot of
so-
free stuff.
Right. So
Yeah, Jeff, I don't know
Just
if you
get
guys
rid of
saw
your
this. I
guns.
saw this. The Georgia Democrat state representative announced that she's switching parties after her leftist colleagues
Oh, yeah.
crucified her when she chose to
She
support
had
school
taste of
choice.
their own medicine.
yes, yeah.
Yeah, and that again, we have a Democratic Party that is very cult-like. They do not like anybody that is stepping outside of left or right. Left, what the narrative and the belief system that you have to be an orthodox Democrat. There's no about that. But going back to what we're talking about as far as Trump, number one, Trump is the most powerful voice in the Republican politics, period, right now. And there's a lot of the establishment Republicans that absolutely hate that. So that's why we have that going on. Now, I see what you're saying, and even Jeff Hahn brought it up. There is a possibility that
Absolutely.
you could have a conviction come through that somehow takes that. But you are right. What you were basically saying was that Trump is going to decide who is the Republican.
Correct.
So
If he
once-
throws his arm around Ben Shapiro, he's like, "This is my guy." Ben
well,
Shapiro's going to get
you know
a
what I would
mean?
almost like to
That's
see.
what's wild.
I think I could even imagine Trump choosing DeSantis as a VP.
I don't think that'll happen.
I don't think.
I don't think
I think
it
he's.
is.
I think he's
You
drugging
know,
around too
I do.
much.
Here's what I see in the Republican Party happening right now. I think it will be
I don't know if
Trump versus DeSantis, and everyone else is right now going for the VP spot.
well, that's
Like,
fine.
They're
It doesn't- it
presidential
doesn't mean they-
candidates, but they're really trying to get
I
the
see
VP.
your
It doesn't.
point,
It
'cause-
doesn't mean that they
Minus Pence.
won't coalesce at the end.
Well, I see your point though, because then he just encompasses
I don't
all
know if
Republican
DeSantis.
vote.
I don't know if DeSantis would do that, but
I don't know.
You know what I think is probably the most likely
I
ticket
think
with
he would
Trump
do that.
is Trump Scott ticket.
That's what 100%.
Yep.
And I really like Tim Scott. I
do
really,
too.
I don't
really
think
do.
DeSantis will agree to a VP under
No,
Trump.
I think they're going at each other too much for Trump to.
I don't know. I
For
think
Trump
that
to
both-
vote for him. The
But
VP.
if he sees that coattail to ride on, man,
But
he might.
I think
and
Trump
says,
will 100%.
and says, "I'm going to
ask Tim
slip in
Scott.
after this one and run for president."
I
and
think
I really like Tim Scott. I actually think he'd be.
I think
like a lot
Trump
of his
and
points.
DeSantis are more pragmatic than most people give them credit for. I don't think that would end well for DeSantis, because the first time that DeSantis went against Trump on anything in office,
It won't.
he's going to end up like freaking Pence.
Yeah, he's gonna exactly 100%. Yeah,
Nobody
won't-
wants Pence as
Yeah,
president. And I love Mike Pence. I really do as a person. Don't want him as president.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So now that we've determined who's going to win or lose the next election,
Hey, that's what we're here for.
let's talk about. And I started touching on this last episode. We didn't get to. I just kind of forgot. We got lost in the sauce. But let's talk about some interesting gun violence and mass shooting statistics. So one of the topics that I was going to bring up last week was the shooting in Philadelphia that kind of went against the narrative. We didn't have a white Christian, supposedly Christian male going out and doing mass shootings. We had an African American, and he was kind of had all kinds of weird. He was he associated himself with the Black Panther Party. He also associated himself with, he was apparently gay. So he had some weird things going on there, but he was also pro 2A and all the, and you know, obviously in a non-monolithic minded America, a person can be all those things. It is, and he also associated himself with the BLM movement, Antifa, but also again was pro 2A.
Is that Antifa or Antifa?
Antifa. I can say it however
You
I
wanna
want. This is
Just like you
America.
say Jairstown and Gerardstown.
No,
That's
no,
right.
it's Gerardstown is correct.
First Amendment. Shut up, you fascist.
I'm going home.
So
Wrapping open the garage.
I was looking up some of those stats to kind of talk about that particular shooting, and while doing that, I found some interesting things. So, Jason, if you'll bring up graphic 6, I was trying to get a handle.
Graphic 6.
I was trying to get a handle on. It's not on that. It's on the ATEM.
Graphics.
I was trying to get a handle on the actual numbers of mass shootings and things like that, and just doing some good research on that. You go to the ATEM software there, Jay. You just minimize that whole thing.
You just lost Jay.
Oh god! Oh, I just see a mouse panicking.
Did you see that? It was going all over.
I had the.
I don't know how this got
You freaking
closed
exited
out.
out, weirdo. You did it.
Number 6.
Number 6.
Number 6.
Just click on it.
You just gotta drag it over there.
Yep.
Drag it over there.
I got this.
Just drag it over there. Just drag it over there.
Okay. Is it showing?
Let me see what's going on.
How do we
You
know?
gotta
it's
minimize the screen, Jay. Jesus. Oh god.
It's getting
I don't know what's
dark
going on.
out.
No, it's up.
Okay. Well, we can't see what's going
Oh,
on.
you
Jay.
can't see.
Yeah,
No,
because
that's
I don't know what's on there. Anyways, so we see the graphic there. We see basically all of these mass shootings. We go from 2016 at 383. Now we're in 2022. We're at 647. And when I pulled that up the other day, as of 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago, whatever it was, they were saying there was 350 mass shootings in the United States at the time. So I started digging through this particular website, which is the Gun Violence Archive, and there's some pretty interesting statistics in how they break that up. But what I thought was most interesting was, Jay, if you'll pull up the Everytown USA stats and definitions
There's
on the browser.
I'd like to go back to that one too, because there was one on there that I found interesting.
We'll go back there and just, oh God, Jay, what'd you do? there?
Minimize. Oh, there we go.
I don't know if that's,
Just
is that
every time.
sharing? Well, I know, but is it sharing?
I know. Wait,
on-
it should go up here in a second, Gary. Yep. Ready?
It's
All
up.
right.
He's
It's up.
just
So-
he's black screen on there right now.
Yeah, it'll come
There
in
it
just a
goes.
second.
Yep, you're good.
All right, so it says when every town began tracking mass shootings after the killings at Sandy Hook, there was no, basically what they're saying is there was no definition. I can't see it all. It's pretty far away. But since research and new coverage, basically they started.
Tragic events has expanded greatly.
Anyways, the definition, oh God, mass shooting. All right, there we go. When every town began tracking mass shootings after the killings of Sandy Hook Elementary, there was no common definition of mass shooting in earlier versions of this report. So every town decided to willy-nilly define a mass shooting as an incident in which 4 or more people were killed, excluding the shooter. So that's what they're saying. They were killed. They also talk about later on how they were either killed, or wounded. So let's see how that so go ahead and scroll up a little bit, Jay. The other up. We now define mass shooting as an incident in which 4 or more people were wounded or shot, wounded, or
God.
killed.
Go
Jesus.
farther
Jay.
to the right. Jay, go farther to the right.
Oh,
Go to the right.
No.
Yeah, there.
Yeah.
Grab that one. There you go.
We literally rehearsed this. Folks, we literally sat back there and rehearsed this.
I love it.
So we now define a mass shooting as incident. So go back up to the top one, Jay. Who's playing music?
I don't know.
That's you, Chris.
No, it's not. Somebody just stopped it.
So when every town began tracking mass shootings, there was no common definition. Well, that's not true. So let's go back to the main screen there, Jay.
The main screen.
Was it you, Summer?
I don't
Actually,
know. I'm just
hit
posting
up
everything
mass
just in
shootings right
case.
there. You can just click right at the top. There you go. Nope. Go back to the ATIM software and pull up that other. There you go. Right there. Number 7. Drag that over. So, folks, this is a DOJ from. You got to hit the thing on the on the switcher, Jay. There you go. So, analysis of recent mass shootings. This is 2013, where it says that the FBI determined that a mass shooting was 4 or more people killed, not including the shooter itself. So we have a clear-cut definition, whereas, they said prior to Sandy Hook, there was none. And obviously Sandy Hook, I believe, took place after 2013. So we've changed the definition. So that's one of the reasons why we're seeing an expansion in those numbers. So they're changing the definition from
interesting.
4 more people killed. Now, if we go back to mass shootings right there, Jay. So this is the actual website of Gun Violence Archive. But if you guys check this out, I want you to look at this. A bunch of interesting things right here. If we look at the number of people killed, 0, 0, there's 4 up there at the top, 0. Also, I want you guys to
But
look.
these are all defined as mass shootings.
These
for
are all defined as
statistics.
mass shootings because we've changed the definition. So they're not necessarily the number of people killed, but they also include the number of people injured. But I also want you guys to look at what's going on in the right-hand corner, because that right-hand number is the subjects arrested or apprehended.
Number of subjects arrested.
0000000.
So, folks, we have a real and I also want you to take a look at these cities that these mass shootings are taking place, regardless if they're a Republican or even Democrat state. The fact of the matter is and most of you guys, I know I'm preaching to the choir, even if these are taking place in very Republican states, like for instance Texas. Texas is a very Republican state. There's obviously Florida and other places like that. But where most of these shootings actually take place, they're happening in very, very deep blue cities. Whether we're talking about El Paso, whether we're talking about Houston,
We're talking about New York.
New York, Philadelphia, the Bronx down there, Indianapolis, Baltimore,
Philadelphia,
Tulsa. Tulsa is a very Democratic. Chicago.
So this brings up another
Ypsilanti, Michigan.
another interesting point from my point of view. It may not
Yep.
be interesting to anyone else, but you
Probably
you
not.
always think of a mass shooting as something that happens like a school, a business, a public place.
Look how often that is.
But-
That's insane.
But really, a mass shooting could be somebody walks into their house and shoots at the 4 people that are in their family there, and now that's a mass shooting.
Well, sure. Yeah.
I think most people think of a mass shooting as, like I said,
As the Las Vegas one, Jason Aldean talks
or,
about. You know
or
what I mean?
school or
anything.
post office.
Well, we
or-
typically don't. So, for instance, if there's a party going on in freaking Compton and somebody does a drive-by and it happens to wound 4 or 5 people at the party or something
we don't
like
think
that.
of that as like a.
No, we
I
don't.
don't think of that as a mass shooting.
I don't
of
think
that
that-
as-
I think
it
that
is
I know,
by
but-
definition, and that's part of
what
the
I'm saying.
problem is
Why'd it have to be
we
Compton?
think that all these people are getting killed because it just was because I watched. Anyways, so
You watched that movie, didn't you?
I did.
That's a
watch the
good movie.
It is a great movie.
Oh man.
Boys in the Hood.
Oh, man.
One of the best movies ever, by the way. So the point is that number one, they have completely changed the definition of mass shootings, and I would
know.
like for us to go back to the original definition of that the FBI determined way back before 2013, and see where we are today.
My point
It's
was
not insignificant, obviously, regardless, but just like you said, when people are saying there's been 300 mass shootings in the United States this year, all of us immediately think a mall shooting, a school shooting,
Right.
a church shooting.
Right.
When in reality, those things are still extremely rare.
Yeah.
And even in that FBI analysis from 2013, you know, and I'm sure this still holds to some extent, maybe a little bit more, but you know, mass shootings end up happening less than 1%. They represent less than 1% of all deaths, and that's going back when we still had the definition of it caused 4 or more deaths. So there's a lot of
Lloyd brings up a great point, and this is kind of feeds in
Oh, I mean,
my point. Like,
100%.
high percentages gang related. Remove that, and it drops so dramatic extreme.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
and that's really what I was even saying about those deep Democrat cities where we have mainly gang activity that's taking place that are
It's those
overrepresenting-
Compton drive-bys, blood versus Crips. I'm just saying.
overrepresenting.
You're not wrong. You know what I mean?
JC on Rumble says, "Is there such a thing as a conservative city?"
Yeah, there is. There's lots of
It's
conservative
Gerardstown, West Virginia.
Yeah,
100%.
Come on down, brother.
Yep.
all 200 of us.
I
more
tell you
than
what.
200 now.
Yeah, there's probably 227.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Come on down. There's room.
Nah, we're running out of room, Chris.
We'll get in a Dollar General.
There,
so
there's
bite
definitely
your tongue.
there's definitely plenty of conservative counties. You know, as far as those large cities, again, those end up being taken over by Democrat policies and Democrats in general. It's just it is the truth of the matter. But there still are some significantly large cities that are Republican and or conservative in general. Jeff Hahn says the real interesting part is the political party of the shooters is predominantly Democrats. Absolutely.
I'm sure they'd say that's erroneous.
I'm sure.
Mark Lloyd says I want Marjorie Taylor Greene for president. She will give me what I want. Probably not anyone else. 2 countries, 1 red, 1 blue. Yeah, you know,
Not a bad thing.
that goes back to the idea behind Atlas Shrugged, right? If you haven't read that or watched those movies, pretty good, pretty interesting
Is
stuff.
it rated R?
I don't know how that would ultimately play out. It would. I would love people. It would be a really cool experiment for 10 years if we were able to divide this country 10 years, 50 years, whatever it is. And there's no doubt.
Well, we could ask Abraham Lincoln how that worked out, right?
Well, we didn't.
No, we didn't really
We didn't
divide.
divide the country.
That was just different views, Jay. If we'd like took the Mississippi and said, your side this, your side this.
You take
let's see what
half the
happens.
country and implement conservative values, and then take the other half the country and implement socialism, which is what the Democrat
They
Party
would never let us
represents.
go because they need us to fund everything.
You need people to produce. All right,
Yeah.
that's ultimately the thing. Joshua Zarman says Philly should be counted as its own state. It's considered a city in the first class and follows its own rules, not the rules of the state of the PA.
No, that's true.
Ooh, but you know what? They make a good cheesesteak.
They do.
Do they really?
do.
I heard it's really not all that.
Oh, you got to get it with the whiz.
No, let me tell you something.
Let me tell you.
Let me
I used
tell
to
you
run the
something.
Philly Marathon every year.
You got to get it
back
with the
in
whiz.
day.
If you don't get it with the
No,
whiz,
that was a great
Cheese,
time.
you know
cheese
what?
whiz on freaking
here
Philly
we go.
cheesesteak.
Here comes the health nut.
It's not.
It's
no,
not a health nut
It
thing.
tastes like shit. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh my god,
like
plastic.
Provolone's okay with,
It's
but
plastic.
fake cheese. If you like Velveeta, that's the fake cheese.
Well, I did when I was 4.
No, I'm not a big cheese guy, but you got.
Oh, I love cheese. Cheese makes everything better.
Cheese makes everything. If you guys, speaking
what I
of
have for
cheese,
lunch.
if you guys
Cheese.
are ever, if you guys ever come here for any training or anything else, there's a little burrito place. It's not open on Sundays, but it's downtown
Mondays.
Martinsburg.
Oh yeah, give them a
Habaneros,
100%.
and I'm telling you, they may have the best
habaneros is
burritos
good.
and the best
Queso.
queso that is anywhere.
Locally
And I'm
owned
from
joint by a
Texas.
younger guy. He works
Yep.
hard.
It does. I keep trying to buy it from him. Like, let me buy this. Let me buy the restaurant from him.
He's like,
Summer
no.
will run it, you know. And be,
Summer will run it.
Kevin Juby brings up a good point.
Got a lot of free time.
But do any of those cities has as many roundabouts as you guys?
Kevin got dizzy coming
No,
to bring
they
his
don't.
bring something out to us the
I
other
hope
day.
he didn't come from Charlestown because he had like all 6
Kevin,
roundabouts.
those are
He
all
did. He came
new.
off 81, headed out the Summit Point.
Oh man,
You hit them all.
He missed one.
He missed one.
He missed one on our side of 81.
Yeah.
Yep.
He got there. He's like, oh, I don't think I can walk straight.
Let me tell you something. When those first went in, holy moly.
People were driving the wrong way.
The
They were taking
opposite
left
way,
turns.
driving across them.
Yeah.
I was like, what is happening?
I still drive across them.
You know, if you buy the burrito place, we could offer my caramel cake as dessert.
Yeah, we could do some good
That-
things with
that would be-
habanero.
that
If
would
we got
be
all their
like
recipes.
the selling
I
The
think
point.
we
redheads
could-
are not allowed to own burrito places.
No, they
Why?
can own it, but they
Yes,
can't just cook there.
yeah, you can't.
First
go
of all,
there.
I've never heard
Have
something
you seen
more
the people
racist.
cooking in there? There ain't none of them that look.
There ain't no
Hispanic.
Mexicans in there.
Oh man.
No one
they're,
Hispanic.
they're not redheads
It's
either.
more
though.
Tex-Mex.
First of all, anyone in
all.
Mexico will tell you burrito is not a Mexican thing; it's an American thing. So it's pretty
Because
much
it's called
American.
a burrito.
Wow, you're letting your West Virginia hang out right now.
Oh,
You damn
man.
right I am.
He's drinking Mountain Dew tonight.
And Gerard, yeah, I do have Mountain Dew in here.
Is
mixed
that
with
an
other
El Grande
things.
Mountain Dew?
It's a large farva.
That's a large farva. I'll take a liter of
Ooh,
cola.
Mark said he's bringing us some Amish Mennonite cheese.
Oh man.
Mark, I
It's
like
Amish.
anything Amish.
Amish.
Yeah. So I won't even bring this. We have it on. We have it on
I wonder if
a.
that's goat cheese or not.
Just shut them.
Amish have a lot of cows.
They also have goats.
Yeah, they have lots of goats, cows.
I'll eat
they-
goat cheese.
Chickens.
I'll eat whatever comes out of that goat.
Jesus.
It's a kids show.
We have a graphic that I'm not going to even bother pulling up. But
you are being
folks,
graphic.
if the other topic was the Biden crime family, right?
Oh, Jesus.
I just like how you call it the Biden crime family.
It's the Biden crime family.
No way.
All right. So a new revelation just came out talking about basically the entire point behind Hunter Biden being, I don't know, hired by a barista to begin with. An email came out talking about how specifically the fact that, and actually just pull it up real quick, graphic 8 real quick. You guys can go read it on Fox News and many other sources. Fox News is probably the only one that's actually even airing this thing.
This is the Hunter
But
email?
it talks about prior to Joe Biden going over there and getting that prosecutor fired. Let's see. Hunter Biden and the bereavement executives were discussing executing a contract for counter messaging against a federal investigation into bereavement's founder and then president, Mykola Zlovatsky.
Definitely not
Dirty Russian.
That.
He didn't even use like a cover name.
No, and they're very
Just
they're
right
very
there, Hunter
blatant
Biden.
with this entire email, and of course this was one of those. I'll tell you what, man, the amount of incriminating evidence this jackass left on that computer
That's
was
great.
absolutely phenomenal.
Awesome.
But
I can't wait till tomorrow when the cocaine resources come out.
I can't wait till tomorrow when the FBI raids us
No, Jesus, shut your mouth.
for
Do
just.
you really want me to die of stress? I mean, I've already had enough
Just-
the
You'll
last
be at
week.
Summit Point. You'll be fine.
Don't worry, baby. I already told
They're
you.
gonna raid
You're
here.
going outside. They're gonna have to come get me.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be pretty. So, anyways, again, we see
you
that
getting
it is
naked?
very clear. It is very clear that we had a criminal enterprise taking place when Joe Biden was vice president, and then this email, and then with the follow-on actions of Joe Biden talking about how they were going to withhold that $1 billion in funding until they got that prosecutor fired. He
Yeah,
said it
for sure.
right on there. So. Why we don't have an active investigation and or impeachment?
Because they're right there with the Clintons.
Oh, we know what's going on. And the other problem with that is that it would incriminate Obama too, and they're not going to.
Nobody
have
wants
that
to
either.
drag him through.
So
God forbid him and Mike.
Jason brought it up. Speaking of the Biden crime family, what about that cocaine at the White House? Did
cocaine?
we ever get to
Yeah.
the bottom of that?
Yeah. Was found in 3 different places now.
You said they're going to reveal something tomorrow, Jason?
Yeah, so supposedly Thursday is when the
That's
Secret
tomorrow.
Service report is going to come out.
So they-
I suspiciously, I think that it's going to be like, oh, it was a tourist, unknown at this time. We're
course
trying
it
to
is.
work
It
on
was
him.
a 6-foot white male with brown hair and blue eyes, and he
mean,
had a blue T-shirt on.
We
Sounds like a
believe his
cocaine
name
guy.
is Bunter Hayden, but we haven't been able to find him.
Bunter Hyden.
Bunter Hayden.
You know it's just going to be complete
He's German.
BS in the
He's
most
German.
generalized. He never had his face to the camera or
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, there's no
that.
cameras inside the West Wing. They're on the
Oh,
outside.
right.
No, it's true.
I know, but I'm just saying. But they said it wasn't found in the West Wing. It was
Allegedly.
found where you dropped your phone or you would put your phone away.
No,
then it was
it's
found in the library.
in the
There's-
West Wing.
Well, it was found in 2 different places.
So
changed
one report said it was found in the library. Another report said it was in the cubby, where you have to put
Let me
all your
guess.
with a tourist
The
code
cubby
in.
report came out after the library report.
Yes, correct.
Yeah,
right?
there's probably no cameras at either places.
Well, there's no cameras in
Well,
there.
they
Period.
did say that the Secret Service was
On top of it, and they'll figure out who's it.
no. They actually said they're actually requiring putting it in to get DNA,
Fingerprints and DNA, yeah.
analysis
Sure
and
they are.
fingerprinting. But
Sure.
Well, hopefully he licked
Something
the
will happen to
extra
that.
off the bag. He's like,
Hopefully they're using
dear God.
23andMe or Ancestry to look this up.
yeah, exactly right.
Speaking of that, I feel like anybody that
they've actually linked that cocaine after doing DNA analysis. It was definitive that it was actually Biden's grandchild that he doesn't claim.
exist. Yeah. That,
Come to find
I
out.
hope that's
are you
what it
talking
is.
about
I hope that's
the
what it
child
is.
of Hunter and
Oh,
the,
yeah,
and the
yeah,
stripper?
yeah.
So
Oh, Biden
they're
doesn't
gonna
claim
be,
the grandchild?
They're gonna be.
No,
They're gonna, no, he won't claim it.
he will.
They-
He always says
Haven't
6.
paternity tests proved that it's
Oh,
Oh, it
100%.
has.
Yeah,
it
yeah,
has.
He doesn't have to claim
But
it.
that poor
It's
girl's
his
going to
choice.
jail for drug trafficking after they get the DNA back.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's one
We
way to
have to
get
go
rid of
pick
her.
her up.
It was hers.
It was hers.
Peace.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Bunter hiding.
Don't bunter hiding. That's
Hold on, I want to
something.
see Brett Phillips' comment. Summer, Amish is a fraud. There's a huge Amish restaurant near me in the Amish pipe.
No, he said
People.
people.
People have been made by a Ukrainian lady.
For decades.
Amish pies.
Amish
I think
restaurant.
he meant
I mean,
Amish
Amish people
pies.
have been
Made,
made.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
And the workers are white Christian girls wearing Amish outfits.
I'm sure there's some
Oh,
of that.
I'm sure there's
well,
some
yeah.
legitimate Amish as well, though.
For sure. Like,
There's
I
some-
listen,
Let me
I
tell you
go to
something.
concerts
Oh
by
my!
the Amish
Don't even
Outlaws,
start.
and they,
By the way,
Don't,
we need
don't
to go.
you go shatter this little girl's dreams.
Oh my
okay?
god!
She has read so much
What about
on
the Amish
fiction.
people?
Oh yeah, fiction like this.
Like leaving Amish and all that stuff.
No. It was more serious than that. There was
No.
lots of.
She wants to be Amish.
No, I don't want to be.
I used to
Amish.
get a lot of. Well, did you know that the Amish?
Don't,
Did you know that if
don't
you switch to
shave
Geico,
anywhere?
you can
Well,
save 15%
no.
on
So
your car
where this
insurance?
started was I did want to go visit Amish country, and one
You
day.
ever been to Lancaster?
No, I haven't.
Pennsylvania.
Oh, what?
No, I haven't.
Oh, you need to go up
She had a
there.
Well,
very
I would love-
romanticized view of the whole
No, I
Amish life.
did
Gary, give her a
not.
chance.
I'm not saying it in a bad
Can
way.
I just explain
I
where
said
this
we
I was
started?
explaining
Talk
for
about
you.
I know you were mansplaining.
He mansplaining.
Stop. Anyway, so I would always read these like Christian fiction books. It was usually based on the Amish. Fine, whatever. But he said when
Filled with real facts, though.
I had wanted to go to Amish country just to visit. It's not that far from here. And Gary was like, well, fine. It was like October or September or something like that. He was like, fine, let's just go up there. And I'm like, no, it's wedding season right now. They're not open all their markets are not open right now because it's their wedding season.
It's
And
a
he's like,
film fest
oh,
spoozle where
I
they
didn't realize that you were such an expert on the Amish and it's their freaking wedding season. Blah,
was-
blah, blah, blah.
It was actually Springer Spruzel or whatever it's
No,
called, where
it
they
was
could go,
wedding.
Rumspringer.
It's
where they
wedding
could go
season.
do whatever they want for.
It's the
They
wedding
can
season.
go
I'll
be
tell you
heathens for
what.
like a year.
So up in Lancaster, it was funny. Me and Lonnie took the wives and we would take the kids up. There's a place up there called
Did you
Dutch.
go during freaking wedding season?
Listen,
Rumspringer?
we went up there. There's an amusement park up there called Dutch Wonderland, and it's good for kids till about 8. After
Yeah.
that, you're kind of too big for it. But we went up there before, and the wives went back to the hotel, and the kids went to bed. Me and Lonnie were like, you know what? We're going to go out to Applebee's, have a couple beers, and just kind of unwind from the day.
You know what they should do?
Hold on, let him finish.
Sorry.
We sat down at the table, and there was a carriage outside of Applebee's, and no less than 6 of them sitting inside, drinking heavily at a table and having the greatest time of their life.
Well, then
And
they
we're
weren't
like,
true
My
Amish.
kind of people.
well, I was like, you know what? I told Lonnie, I said we almost should have sent them a shot, but I was like, I guess they can't really get pulled over because that horse is going to know exactly how to get home. I mean, he's going to go.
Let it ride. Shut her down, Jedediah. Shut her down. Shut her down.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to buy some land up in freaking Pennsylvania,
No,
and
I wanna move to Pennsylvania.
I'm opening up an Amish amusement park. It's going to have
That won't
like,
be much. It'll be all wooden tracks.
it'd be like,
You got a bunch of hamsters running around wheels to power it.
you could ride a horse for a minute.
They have those, Gary.
We need to
Is
go
it
back.
really?
I think it's called a rodeo.
Jesus
They
Christ.
have horse and carriages.
Don't let New
you have to
York talk
you have to
about-
like give them like like behind the wheel of a car and drive
Yeah.
around like a lap.
We need to go back to the Amish place in Hagerstown, the market.
Sure.
What's
Oh
the
yeah,
place
over there
called?
by I forget what it's called. Over by Green Turtle.
Yeah.
I know where you're at.
It's
We
called the
always
Amish
forget about
market.
it.
It's called the Amish
They have
market.
some
They got some amazing
really good
donuts. And,
You eat donuts?
Yes.
on
I
special
don't believe it.
occasions.
I was gonna say once a month.
Ooh,
Nah, not that
UFO
often,
for the
but-
hose says that
Someone-
Amish town in
sometimes I
Ohio
do wanna
best
punch you
mashed
in the face.
potatoes he's ever had.
Hold on,
It'll be
hold on.
fun.
What did Jay say? What?
Oh, sorry, UFO for the hose. I have to call him out because that's my favorite name, right?
You do every
next
time.
to Turbo Potato.
Terrible.
Amish town in Ohio, best mashed potatoes he's ever had.
There you go.
See, the Amish know how to make mashed potatoes. Gary.
They
They
also know
love
how-
mashed potatoes.
The Mennonites also know how to cut meat over in Crestview.
But hold on one second. Back to donuts, Chris. I don't know if you're aware,
I'm not.
Donuts.
but
I'll eat the
in the
shit
fall,
out of some donuts.
if you have never been to Marker Miller Orchards in outside of Winchester,
You've been to Mark Miller's?
have you ever been to-
You
where's
lived
that?
your whole damn life here,
and you never been to Marker Miller's?
in Winchester?
It probably opened 2 years
I don't,
ago.
I don't,
No,
I don't believe anything
think
you tell
so.
me. Ever?
No.
No.
We're,
They've been here a
we're
long time.
Market Millers.
We've been going there since Noah was a baby, so they've been open at least 8.
Yeah.
I've lived here 39.
Okay, well, you got to go to Marker Miller in the
You
fall.
haven't actually lived at all during those 39 years. You
They're-
haven't
they're-
been to Marker Miller's that had their
They're not open year round.
Warm
Apple
apple,
donut,
donuts. I was
apple
gonna say.
cider
donuts?
I
No.
figured that's what you
If
were
you
going to say.
think,
Those
have you ever had
apple cider
Orr's
donuts?
apples? Have you ever had Orr's apple cider
No,
donuts?
that's fake.
These
Okay, I
are
was
some
about
of
to
the-
say because
these
these
are the
blow
best.
those out of the water. Everybody here thinks Orr's apple cider donuts are like so amazing.
What is it?
It's called Marker Miller's.
Where's it at?
We'll
It's
all go
outside
in the
of
fall
Winchester.
and go get fat. We'll
mean-
drink a bunch of cider.
Yeah, they
There's
have
my
the
phone
best
again.
apple cider too.
I mean,
Apple cider.
Unpasteurized apple cider? Because that's the
I
best.
don't know.
I don't know
That's
if
the one
it's-
you
It's
leave.
it's the best I've bought.
That's
around.
the one you leave sit in your fridge for 6 months and it blows up a little bit and then it's got a little alcohol in it. And then you-
Well, that's where moon.
This was
Shade
nice
came
and
from.
cloudy.
I mean that's wine, but then you cook it. After
Anyway, what we
Zero
do is we
wine.
buy 2 dozen. We buy 2 dozen apple cider donuts. One Gary's. One
and then
dozen
you
is
all
for
eat
Gary.
a quarter a piece throughout
No,
the year.
Gary eats 1 dozen by
I
himself.
crush those things.
That day. A whole
You're my
dozen.
spirit
Let me
animal
tell you
on that
something.
one.
I'm
How
pretty
much milk do you go through? I'd go through a gallon of milk on them.
No, we go through a
I
gallon of apple
binge.
cider.
I binge at moments. You know, that's what I do. Like I will crush an entire thing of ice cream.
That's a whole
there's no
half
going
gallon of
back.
ice cream.
I can't.
I eat
Jay,
because I'm unhappy.
Jay,
I'm unhappy because
Jay,
I
we
eat.
can't say anything about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no. I
I
crush.
mean, literally, we
That's
were
why it
sitting on
doesn't come in
Jay's.
my
I
house
crush
very
from many
often.
of the foods.
I mean,
But
I
when I
can't say
do-
anything about your binge eating. We were literally sitting on Jay's deck. It was probably 3 weeks ago.
Got a big old deck.
Oh, he's got a big old deck. I was just sitting right on it. Me and Matt. And Jay never heard
Buddy
about
rubbing.
Dairy Queen's mystery quartz.
Oh my god!
I never heard of that either.
All right, let
I've,
me
I've
enlighten.
heard. It's their extra ice cream that they put out. But go ahead.
Oh
Explain
my
it to 'em.
god!
I never had one.
I was
though.
telling Jay, I was like,
knew
man,
what it
you know
was.
what? I bet my family didn't have much money growing up, and if we wanted to get ice cream at Dairy Queen, we picked up 2 or 3 mystery quarts. They're like $3.60 a piece for a quart of Dairy Queen ice cream.
$3.60.
Yes.
That's.
That seems
Did
expensive.
you, did you just pull
For a
that
quart.
number out?
No,
of your
that's-
head, or is
No,
that-
no,
was-
it's legit.
That's what we
It was.
paid.
Why is it $3.60? It seems
that's
a
what
very
taxes-
weird,
that's what
arbitrary
taxes
number.
are.
That's what
everything.
taxes.
Gotcha. Okay.
So Jay never heard of it. Matt never heard of it. And I said, one time it's just what they don't. If somebody goes, "Hey, here's your Oreo Blizzard," I didn't order Oreo Blizzard. They go, "Oh, and they-
Oh, really?
Yeah.
and you have no idea what you're going to get." Or they cleaned out the
It's a
chocolate machine
mystery
at the end of the
quart.
night, put the lid on because they don't waste anything, and threw it in there. I've gotten one before that had a hot dog in it.
Seriously?
I only paid $3.60. I can't be mad. I was eating. I'm like, what the? It was a hot dog. But anyway, we're sitting on Jay's deck. We're about, we're drinking a couple of alcoholic beverages.
You can only get those ones in June.
Right. So we're sitting on Jay's deck, and I told him about that, and he's like, "We're going." This mofo, we all get
How
the
many
Tesla.
mystery quarts
Jay
did you
was
buy?
like, "Hey,
Four.
Four
We
each?
bought a gallon of ice cream while we were there, and drove home as fast as we could. Had Remington
For
mix
like
them up.
$10.
It was it was
If
like
that.
$10. I forget what it was, maybe $12.
well,
or
that'd be
something.
12 and
12 and some change,
Yeah.
and we
It'd be $14.40 to be
It
exact.
was the most amazing thing ever. Everybody
Whoa.
online, go to Dairy Queen and ask for a mystery quart for $3. It
It's
could be
the funnest thing ever.
$3.60.
It could be anything in there. It could be a peanut butter parfait in there, to a cheesecake one, to a mint chocolate chip. It's
so much fun.
It's a mystery quart.
It was great.
Jay got the best one. That
I
one.
did. I did.
chicken tenders down on the bottom.
But
You
one
could.
of
Matt,
those was
Matt had a
probably-
cone. Matt had a cone just shoved in it, and it was just an ice cream cone.
One of those was probably my Blizzard from a couple of months ago because I ordered a Blizzard, which I very rarely do, so I really want to enjoy it when I do.
Yeah.
And it had like no mix-ins in it. So I went back. I was like, this doesn't have. This
Yeah,
doesn't
and
have enough.
they went,
Yeah.
This doesn't have enough stuff in it. And he's like,
Oh, don't worry. We're gonna have plenty of stuff in it when you get yours back.
What? Oh yeah. She get extra sides.
I was very nice about it. Listen,
Yeah. So
Mystery Court's a Dairy Queen.
going again,
Top
getting the
tier.
cart back on the tracks a little bit here. Josh, number one, I'm very interested in your email. Anything that we could do. Josh was basically talking about how it'd be nice to be able to do something to work with us and maybe work with other organizations to combat
like a
child
fundraiser
trafficking.
thing.
Be happy. That'd be an awesome thing to get involved with. So maybe that's something. Whether we can get in a hold of what's his name, Tim Ballard. Maybe we get a hold of him and figure out what are some of the best things that we can do to really help with that. I don't know if it's money. I don't know if it's volunteer work. I don't
It's
know.
going rogue.
Going rogue, and again, that is definitely something that I would definitely be interested in, and I'm sure many other people that watch these that are like-minded with us would be interested in supporting as well. So be interested on that. And any other information that you guys can find out about that, or different ways that we might be able to help or donate. Again, we have a 501c3 that we can funnel money through for causes like that. I don't know if that's a good way
Yeah,
to say
I was
that.
about to say funnel doesn't sound
money,
good.
and I'm like, that doesn't sound
We
right.
we
but-
can
That means
we
there's
can
a
use
lot.
that to get donations to put money
We have
in
a
the right
legitimate
direction.
way to handle
Yes.
donations.
There's a better way to
Yes.
say it.
Yeah.
Funnel money.
Funnel money.
We don't
Hello,
funnel money,
Cayman
people.
Islands.
Funnel money to Summer's new vehicle.
God knows I need it.
Oh dear
Jesus.
God! All right, well, we've been going on blathering for an hour and 50 minutes, folks. Listen, we always appreciate you guys showing up. What else? Any other big announcements? Definitely check out our upcoming courses, folks. We'd love to have you out there. Oh, one thing I
I've
did.
had a couple of things.
Did CQB
Okay,
go good?
It went really well. Thank you.
Good. I heard Summer kind of slowed it down a little bit, but
She
I put a
put a little hiccup in it.
yeah,
figured.
like I always do.
But actually, the training went. Derek was running things. He was good. So everything was good to go there. One thing I did want to tell you guys, we just placed our G code dealer order today, and we also, what I've been really interested for a long time, and I've been meaning to do it, and finally got around to do it, is Neomag. If you guys aren't aware of those, again, we'll be getting some products in, and I'll do some videos on them. But
This ties
G
right
code.
into what I was going to say.
Awesome. And the Neomag, I think, are awesome products. I've been using Geocode holsters for many years. I think their RTI hanger is one of the best. And their holsters are absolutely great. Also, their mag pouches. Anyways, we'll be getting those up on the website. So, Dan, get ready to start going through that, because that's going to be a nightmare. All the different options, clips, hangers, colors, variants. Lots of
gotta
good
do a
stuff there.
live,
with or
we
without
gotta
a
do
light,
Yeah.
with all the 17
We gotta
different
do a,
lights.
Well,
100%.
I think more than that is
Who's your
trying to
do's, who's
stock
your
all that
don'ts?
is going to be
Yeah.
a nightmare.
Yeah, that's on you, Summer.
Stocking is always
Use
everybody
big
wants
brain.
the holster and the configuration that we don't have at the time.
Correct.
It's just the way it works.
But what I was going to say before you started that is we just got our Area 419
yeah. Oh
dealer,
yeah.
dealer order in.
Yep. We'll be
First
putting
one in.
Yep.
Dan's already working on getting all that up on the website. Just an FYI to all you loyal people out there that are always watching, the margin on Area 419 is minuscule. So unfortunately, the usual coupon won't apply to it. But if you still purchase that, we still have the same prices as Area 419. So if you purchase through us, it would help us out versus purchasing through Area 419. But
Absolutely.
We should do a live gear review one day.
Sure.
Yeah.
Ooh, that'd
Yeah,
be cool.
That'd be cool.
That would be cool.
We'll have to think about. I do have some. Well, and there's some other stuff along with that. We're also getting in some other flashlights besides the Surefire. What I wanted, well, we'll get to that. But Jay, one thing that we're definitely do is we'll do a whole video series on lights, showing the difference between light lumens and go back to you and I's argument of
Oh,
it's
Jesus.
too
Oh,
bright
yeah,
or it's
too
not bright enough.
Some are too
Which,
bright.
no, they're not.
I wanna see
they're
that.
literally not too bright. At some point they will be, but they're not there.
I hope you
So
shed some light on that
I
situation.
have a perfect training area for that, where we have basically a CQB area, that open areas that we can shine lights, and you can realize how wrong you are.
I'll hold the camera for you guys that day.
We'll do that, but yeah, we'll definitely do. That'd be actually pretty fun. Just pull out a
Good.
video or pull out a piece of kit and just
Yep.
tear it to pieces and say how great it is or not right there on camera. That'd be kind of fun.
Drop a bag of
Do a
cocaine and
mystery.
keep
We'll have to do
going.
a mystery review.
Yeah,
Oh,
with the
That'd
mystery
be
court.
fun.
Oh yeah, mystery court.
Are you gonna come on camera for that, Jay?
No.
Well, you know what? He should wear
gonna
the
just have-
ski mask.
Right
I
off.
swear it's
Have him in a ski mask.
At a voice
That would
changer.
be no. I just say ski mask because that'd be perfect.
Yeah, we'll figure out how to do
Nobody
that.
would recognize him.
We
and
can
then
get
put
you
him
some
in
of those shoes with
the
the really
platform
tall.
shoes. That's exactly what I was- So he's taller than Gary. I'll just cut out some 4x4s and
Nobody will ever
we'll
guess.
just screw him through his
Nobody
shoe
will ever
soles.
know.
We'll put up a fence like Mr. Wilson on
Yeah, it's like how you doing, Tim?
Home Improvement.
How you doing, Tim?
Oh,
Howdy, neighbor.
let me see that.
He just reaches. Oh yeah.
Well,
look
we'll
at
have
that.
to get a little picket fence.
Oh, it'd have to be only 4 foot tall.
A little short
Otherwise,
fence.
No,
Fence.
I'll
otherwise
just
it'll
have
cover
one
him.
on a stick that you
Yeah.
just carry right in front of you.
All this
like a picket line.
like a
You just
pickup,
hold it down.
Yeah, just hold it down. Howdy, neighbor.
see a hand
All
go
right.
up every now and then.
Anyway,
All right.
All right.
Jeff,
Plan
the
it.
FFL is going. We actually have a meeting with the FFL.
our official interview.
Our official interview next week, so that's going along. So,
Snap.
but we can still do everything here. So it is what it is. We're not being held back by that, other than we just can't sell guns at that store or any other controlled items. So everything's going along, and yeah, man, it's because of you guys. I know I've been stuck not making any videos. I got to get those back out too. We're gonna hit that hard and heavy next week. Catch up on some videos. And yeah, I've already started doing the zero compromise video. There's nothing I hate more than starting a video and then being stuck in the middle of that with other stuff. So we started that video. I will get that one done. I'm really excited about doing that. I've been doing some testing with those optics anyhow. I'll tell you, I'm pretty impressed with those overall, but you guys will see the full review and you can decide for yourself how those work out for you in the video. See if the juice is worth the squeeze for your own selves. Anyways, folks, we really always appreciate you being here. We appreciate you showing up. It's always a good time hanging out with you. We love you guys being in the comments. So if you're watching this again in the future, if you lasted this long, you're a freaking weirdo. But if you did, make sure you join us live on Wednesdays so that you can participate in the conversation. And yeah, anyways, stay armed, stay ready. And until next time, we'll goofed that up. Until next time, stay armed, stay ready. We'll see you guys later. Hit the end broadcast, Jason.